Sorry, I think I misheard what she said. All right, the objection is overruled. If it's, she may testify as to words that you spoke on this occasion. Go ahead.
He told Erica that he was gonna find her and he's gonna kill her.
Can we pull up Exhibit 5 for the witness, please?
Laughing.
I guess while we're waiting on that, did you at any point come into contact with police or a police officer after Mr. Brooks left the scene that we just watched?
I didn't think the trial would still be going on by the time I got home.
I forgot what that guy was at, the little stoppers, like where it stopped everybody.
Hey.
But we came into contact with him, and then he called the police officer, and then we had contact with the police officer.
Okay. At any point while Mr. Brooks was still present for the scuffle, did you or anybody else in your group call the police?
No.
You need to turn on the state table, please, for preview mode.
I will confirm it's in front of mine and the witnesses monitor, or on our monitor.
All right, Ms. Runkle, I'm showing you on your monitor a photograph that's been marked as State Exhibit number 5. Do you recognize that photograph?
Yes.
Who's in that photograph?
Erica?
Erica Patterson? Is that an accurate representation of how Erica looked the night of November 21st, so after the Waukesha
Hey.
parade?
Yes.
I'd move Exhibit 5 into evidence and ask to publish.
Any objection?
Yep, on the grounds of that is hearsay.
The objection's noted, it's overruled. Exhibit 5 is received, permission to publish is granted.
Were you with Erica Patterson the day before the parade, so November?
I haven't
20th?
seen all the highlights from today, so I'm
Did
kind of
she
ignorant
have
on
a swollen left eye on November 20th?
some of the events that occurred. I don't.
The issue of
I didn't see his
police and
cross-examination
whether or not
yet
you had contact with them.
of the first witness.
Can you describe in a little bit more detail what exactly happened with law enforcement after the defendant left the scene that we just watched?
I'm not sure where we walked, but like I think we walked straight down to the parade. I'm not sure, but we stopped at these like stoppers where there was this I don't know what he's called. It's not a cop, but he was like a guard, and he ended up we ended up telling him that what happened, that Erica almost got ran over. I had to pull her away from the car, and he ended up calling the cops. He told us, hold on, let me call the cops, and a cop came, and we started talking to him.
Okay, but you don't, or do you remember the name of the officer that you spoke with?
I do not.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for this witness.
All right, Mr. Brooks, do you have any questions for this witness?
Here we go. Oh boy.
So, my first question would be, you seem to be unclear about when you met Erica. Would you say it was roughly October or November because you wasn't sure which one?
Roughly in between.
roughly in between.
Yeah.
Um,
I know it was
So-
before Christmas.
Do you? Well, you just said that you had never seen her quote unquote boyfriend or whoever she was referring to as that before the Christmas parade. Is that correct?
That was, the Christmas parade was November, right?
He's asking you if you had seen
Not before, but the Christmas parade was November. I'm just asking, right? Okay, so no.
Did she? Do you want her to restate her answer? She answered. She confirmed your question.
I wanted to be direct.
Okay, no, I have not.
So you just testified that you can identify who was driving the said vehicle as soon as you saw the video played. If you've never seen the driver before that day, how would you even know who it was?
I'll object. That is not a clear question. This is just going to confuse the witness. It's confused me.
I'll sustain it. Mr. Brooks, rephrase the question, please.
Would you play the video again, the first 10 seconds? I'm guessing that it was.
Be Exhibit 3.
Exhibit 3. You want us to? You want the first 10 seconds of exhibit played?
Show the witness the first couple of seconds of the.
All right, it's up.
Now you just said, you just testified.
Hold on, it's playing. You want it to stop now?
Stop.
Okay,
You
Play the
just,
first 13 seconds for the witness.
thank you.
you just testified that as soon as you saw the vehicle come into the camera view, you said, "Oh, there's his car." How would you know whose car it was if you've never seen this person before that day?
You understand the question?
Yeah.
Go ahead and answer.
Because I was told that she was going to meet up with Daryl Brooks.
So you were told this directly from Erica.
Yes.
Did at any time she ever tell you what kind of car he had and what kind of car he would be meeting up with her with, quote unquote?
No.
So how can you identify that it was the said person's car if you had no knowledge of what vehicle this said person would be driving, or who the person even was, or who what the person even looked like? How would you know?
Because I was told it was Daryl Brooks.
And so you were told that it was this name, but you were able to identify the vehicle and the person on the first day that you ever saw them.
Objection
Is that-
asked and answered.
Let him finish his question.
Again, as soon as the car came into camera view, you immediately said on the record just a few minutes ago, "Oh, there's his car." Who is his? Who were you referring to?
Daryl Brooks.
And you would be able to know that that was quote unquote Daryl Brooks just by seeing the car come into the view of the camera?
Now I'll object based on an asked and answered question.
Sustained. Mr. Brooks, are you trying to ask her whether at the moment in time she first saw the SUV, did she know who was driving? That would be a relevant question.
Did you know who was driving the SUV that you saw when you saw it?
Not in court, but when you first saw it on that date.
Yes, because I don't see why Erica would be talking to anybody else and getting yelled at by somebody else.
But did you know at that moment who was driving the car?
Yes.
And how would you know that? You just said that you had no knowledge of the vehicle that whoever Erica was meeting up with would be driving. So how would you know that?
So
Asked and answered and argumentative.
Yeah. Her answer previously, Mr. Brooks, was she's basing that on what someone told her, not based on what she saw at that point.
Hey,
That's how I took it.
Juan, if you want
Erica
to jump
told
in, you
you
can in the
The
Discord.
vehicle and how the vehicle would look.
If I'm trying to understand what he's trying to say or trying to argue, is that
Mr. Brooks,
Erica,
she wouldn't have,
I'm
state
sorry,
the
Your Honor.
question.
the witness wouldn't have any knowledge that that was Dale Brooks, if not for
Let's
Erica
back up
telling
a little
her.
bit.
But I don't know
Erica told you
how
that she was meeting up with this
Dale Brooks.
Correct? That's what you said, right?
Correct.
And so, yes, she's going to
And
draw a
did she
conclusion
at
that the
any
person in the
time
car
tell you what vehicle
yelling at Erica was
the
Dale
person
Brooks.
driving and how the vehicle looked?
She did not.
No.
So, the first time you saw the vehicle, did you know who was driving the vehicle?
Yes, when she told me. When she told
What
me.
he's asking you though, is did you know based on personal observation,
Oh,
not
no,
based
not
on what
personal
someone told you?
observation.
Honestly,
So
the judge is holding his hand,
So
yeah.
personal observation. Oh, no, never mind. Okay, yeah.
So let's just make sure the record's clear what your answer is.
It's
Yes, Pope. Like,
it's
how did she
based
know
on
it was his
what
car
I
if
was
she hadn't
told
met him?
when I
Right.
met up with her.
She assumed that it was Dale Brooks because she was told
That's been established.
She was told by Erica that she was meeting him. So she assumed whoever she was talking to was Daryl because that's her knowledge.
Well, then ask it, please.
I'm trying to. So, you were told after the vehicle drove away and you and Erica were alone? Is that when you were told?
Yes.
So, it would be fair to say that before you were told this, after the vehicle drove away, you did not know who was driving the vehicle, correct? Would that be fair to say?
Oh, I had a suspicion it was Daryl.
You had a suspicion or did you know?
Had a suspicion
Okay, no problem, Juan.
until I
So
asked
you
her.
didn't know.
Objection. Argumentative.
Yeah, so we've kind of been a little bit circular here, so the objection is sustained. I think we need to be clear, Mr. Brooks, when you ask your questions about what point in time. It's one thing to talk about when she first sees the vehicle because there's been no contact between her and the vehicle, but it's a different point in time when it's later. So you need to make clear at what point in time you're referring to so that your question is clear.
Got you.
That's what it sounds like the angle he's trying to do.
identified
To bring.
the alleged defendant in court. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
And
Rebel, yes, the judge can.
the alleged defendant that you identified was the same person that you saw driving the vehicle that day.
Yes.
The video also shows that, well, let me back up.
I already
Matter of
did
fact,
notice
I
kick,
think
Kidro.
You made reference to hanging out with Erica in a park, correct?
Yes.
With maybe one other person
Yeah.
present?
Mandy, let me know if you want to be on camera. I can put you
Yes.
on.
Thank you.
Hanging out, what were you guys actually doing?
Drinking?
So, would it be fair to say that because of alcohol being involved, that there may have been a misinterpretation of what you saw?
Speculation.
Thought you saw?
Objection calls for speculation.
There you go. Speculation.
The question, the way it's asked, calls for speculation. If you could please rephrase it.
I ask it different. How much were you drinking? Was it a few beers, a bottle,
Half a
something to that
pint.
effect? Half a pint. Do you remember what you were drinking?
Vodka.
Do
Vodka.
you remember if Erica was drinking?
She was.
And you said that you separated at one point to go hang with another person. I can't remember the name, but would that be fair to say that you separated from Erica to go hang out with another person?
I did say that.
Was that person also drinking that day?
No.
Did that person overhear any conversation between you and Erica?
No.
Would that be the same person that was saw in the video?
Yes.
So that would be
She, R.A. Erica was beaten up. She didn't die, though.
Nick. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And is it true that you did give a statement about what you saw and heard that day? Would that be
Yes.
fair to say? Would it be fair to say that in this statement that you gave, you never mentioned
This,
the
the
person that you
witness
saw driving make any threats?
is a friend, I believe, of Erica, who is the ex-girlfriend, the woman that he beat up before he went on his rampage.
I never mentioned.
Well, I have the statement right here in front of me. Would it be fair to say that the statement that you gave that day, that you do not say in your statement that you heard any threats being made or yelled towards Erica? Would that be fair to say?
I
Possibly.
feel like I want tacos again.
So do you remember?
Oh,
giving
he
a
absolutely
statement?
is, Juan.
I remember giving a statement.
Do you remember what you said in your statement?
I do.
So I'm gonna ask you again because I just asked. I have your statement in front of me. You did not mention any
They met each
threats
other
being
at the
yelled or made towards Erica.
At a women's shelter?
Say.
Jesus
I
Christ.
did mention some.
What exactly did you mention?
That you were yelling at her, saying that you were gonna kill her and to get in the car.
Ah.
And that's in your statement.
Yes.
Would you like me to read your statement to you?
Yes.
You sure?
Yeah, sure.
So I'll object based on the procedure that the defendant is employing at this point.
Sure. Mr. Brooks, there is a procedure. I can have the state bring up her statement, I hope electronically, to show her. It would,
That
and
would be
then
fine, Your Honor. You
all right.
Bring it up for her to see.
you'll want to direct her to what part. You can ask her to review it, ask her if that refreshes her recollection, and then you can ask her a question. Or even show her that and ask a direct question about it would be another way.
Okay, this is not it right.
No, they'll get it up. It just takes a moment.
Okay, I'm sorry.
J. Carr, think of it this way. The judge is holding his hand all the way to a guilty verdict.
So are we sure we can't get the front? Because we tested that twice yesterday and this morning, and it should have worked. We sure we can't get the front table?
We can try.
I have it selected right now and I see a black box, so no.
They have to connect.
It's both to avoid, it's not just to avoid mistrial, but to avoid any any potential avenue that he will raise on appeal. The judge wants to make sure that they bent over backwards to ensure that he had a fair trial, notwithstanding his antics. Because let's be real, the evidence is overwhelming. It's
a lot of new technology in this courtroom, and it's great when it works. But it's a lot to get used to.
Excuse me, Your Honor, if I may ask you, are we still on the record right now, or we are? Okay.
We are. We're just taking a stretch break, but we're still on the record. Why they?
Okay. I was gonna say something to the bailiff, and I didn't want to be disrespectful by.
Do you want me to mute you for a
the
second?
only.
Oh no, no, it's fine. It's fine.
The only feasible avenue that he has is potential mistaken identity, which I doubt there's evidence that show that they got the wrong guy. It's the only avenue he has here.
Finish your questioning here.
I do.
All right, we'll take a short break for you to do that. All right, I'll have to excuse the jury for a moment. We'll be in recess as far as the cameras are concerned for that.
All right, so while we're at a pause here, yeah, I haven't seen all of this morning's antics since I was obviously, at my day job. I haven't seen. I do know that they the very first witness was a detective sergeant. But I haven't seen any. I've only seen a bit of the initial examination. I haven't seen the cross. No, that was not an Admiralty maritime flag, Sean. You can't buy that angle.
He did take the objection sign and shove it into his pants.
Really?
Yep.
Well, while it's on pause. Oh, for fuck.
Assistant District Attorney Zach Wichow and the defendant Daryl Brooks appears in person in custody. I'd also like the record to reflect that he is appearing in jail attire today. He's also wearing a mask.
I object to that, Your Honor. I do not identify by that name and would like the opportunity to state that I'm here concerning this matter.
All right, right up.
As third
I'll
party
check him out.
intervener in this matter, appearing as authorized representative for my
Oh
client.
my God.
I accept for value, in return for value, all the charging instruments in this matter and make my exemption available for discharge of all obligations and charges connected with this case. I do not dispute any of the facts in the charging instruments and would like to now reserve my rights, if I may.
Mr. Brooks, you just interrupted me within a minute of us starting this case here today. I'm asking you to respectfully not interrupt me. That's the second time, so I can go through the list of things that I need to get through this morning.
I just wanted it stated for the record that
Mr.
I
Brooks,
identify by
it
the
wasn't
name
the
that you called me
proper
by. That's
time
all.
to do that. That's now the third interruption. So,
With all due respect, Your Honor,
Mr. Brooks, by saying all due respect doesn't change the fact that you're interrupting me. Your objection is noted, all right? But you need to stop interrupting me so I can get through what needs to be done.
But it is my
I have a
right
number
to-
of documents that I need to discuss this morning. Mr. Brooks, you do not have a right to interrupt the court.
No,
I will
that
remind
was
you
not
once
my
again
intention.
of the Supreme Court rule. It's on a yellow laminated, double-sided piece of paper that is before you. I checked, I verified, it is.
I accepted in return for
Mr. Brooks,
value,
that's
Your
yet
Honor.
another interruption. Let me get through this, please.
I just want, for the
You will
record,
have an opportunity when I give you an
I want-
opportunity. No one else is speaking at the moment but me. You need
All
to
right,
stop
tacos it is again. I feel like we're gonna be here for a while,
Mr.
people.
Brooks, I am going to keep going. You are warned. You need to follow the standards of courtesy
So
and decorum.
we're
for
gonna
the
have
court
another
of
taco
Wisconsin.
night mukbang.
62, that's another
Please forgive
I
me.
intend to follow
Chat.
This
decorum.
court comes with a history of Mr. Brooks interrupting now. This is day 4, and every day Mr. Brooks has interrupted. It has resulted in Mr. Brooks being placed in a neighboring courtroom so that this court can efficiently, effectively, and with dignity
Soft tacos.
preside over this case here today.
Usually I get crunchy,
I'm well aware
but
that's
because
another
I'm
interruption.
ordering
I'm
delivery,
well
I'm getting
aware.
soft.
Stop
Respectfully, which I
talking.
have the right to do.
I'm well aware,
And
Mr. Brooks,
I
that
have
you
not
object to the
intended to
name that
cause any,
has
disruption.
identified on the information and all documents in
want it
this
noted
case.
for the
Your
record that I
objection
did
is
not
noted. It
identify
does
by
not
that
need to be
name.
repeated. I will make a record right now. The
May I
court
have the
notes
opportunity to
a
preserve my
continuing
rights, Your
objection
Honor?
by Mr. Brooks of his name and that he objects to being here. I know he's filed a number of documents previously
I never
related
objected
to
to
that.
being
Those
here. I just
documents
state-
are
I tried
of
to
record.
state
There's
that
another
for the record,
document
Your
that's
Honor.
filed. At
They
least
did-
2
did
more
they say that they
interruptions.
couldn't
Just
revoke
now,
his
I believe I'm
right?
up to 8.
Grixie?
Mr. Brooks,
I don't-
you're
I
advised
guess
that
I missed that
continued
part.
Interruptions will result in you forfeiting your right to be present in this courtroom, where you'll be taken to the courtroom next door to appear by video and audio
I don't
means to
consent
participate.
being removed from the courtroom, Your Honor.
That's another
And
interruption.
you haven't shown me any lawful case law that I can be removed from the
Mr.
court
Brooks?
proceedings in a trial and forced under coercion and duress to appear in the trial that I am
It really depends on
express that I have the right to
Mr.
be
Brooks,
present.
there's
Whether
a proper manner
he'll
in
continue
which
to
you raise
interrupt,
objections. You
especially
have
during
not
witness
followed
testimony.
That proper procedure. You are unable or unwilling to abide by simple rules of civility.
You haven't
You
given me the
interrupt.
chance to
You don't wait for
state my
anyone
name.
to finish, and it will result with you being removed from the courtroom.
I
So
respectfully
you are
object to that,
once
Your
again reminded of that. I'm going to give a little slack at the moment only because we are not in the presence of the jury. I'd like to go through a couple of things, the first of which is the jail attire. Mr. Brooks, we, meaning myself and the jail, have made arrangements by allowing folks to bring in street clothing for you. You've appeared previously in a suit and tie.
He did.
Very appropriate for a trial. If you no longer have those clothes available, the jail has a supply of clothes that they can also lend to an inmate. The reason we make those arrangements during trial, sir, is because this court has taken a number of steps to shield from this jury that you are in custody. Your hands are not shackled. Okay, there are skirts around
feet are
each
shackled.
one of the tables. I'm aware of the feet shackles. That's yet another interruption. I'm aware of the shackles on
She
your
really is writing down a
feet,
tally, ain't
and
she?
That's why the skirts are on your table and frankly all of the tables, right? So that it appears to be the same for anyone coming in and viewing. Again, arrangements have been made for you to appear in street clothes or civilian clothes. I would like you to appear in street clothes, and the reason why, sir, is to reduce or even eliminate even the appearance that you are in custody. And it is your choice, though. Are you willing to go back to your cell and put on your suit?
It is my right to do so or to not do so.
Then, before
At
we
this
bring
point,
out
Your Honor,
the jury,
who doesn't
if
know
we
that
need
I'm
to
in
talk
custody?
procedure, or Attorney Wichow, if there was something you wanted to address.
All right, we're back live.
Thank you. I think there may have been some
Thank you, Carl B, for the
misunderstanding on
$5.
nature of this statement in question. This witness provided a statement to a police detective, who then wrote a police report summarizing the statement. So the proper method at this point for the defendant would be to confront her by orally quoting from that, asking if she said or didn't say these things. To show her this statement we're not refreshing her recollection. She didn't write this.
Ah, I see. So I didn't know that, but that certainly makes a lot of sense. Mr. Brooks, did you hear what Attorney Wichow just said about the procedure?
is it a way to verify that that is in fact procedure? Just to be clear for the record.
I just realized he's back in the
I
room.
had referenced earlier that I thought you were trying, we might be showing her the statement to help refresh her recollection, but I don't have any of the statements in front of me, and I wasn't aware that it's the police report that may be referenced is written by someone other than this witness. She wrote a statement apparently, but the police report is a summary of her statement. So
how it that kind of makes it problematic though. You could probably see what I'm getting at, Your Honor, by if it's a summary of what she said.
Do you have the statement do you have a written statement of hers?
Yes, I'm trying to get back to it. You know, I got a lot of stuff coming over here.
I know.
Once he finds the statement, I suggest that Mr. Brooks read.
He has Doc Holliday. This is not a Blandino. This guy is going full sovereign citizen.
Didn't say those things he's reading.
Does the state have it available to put on the monitor if he's having difficulty finding his copy?
Sure.
Let's do that, please.
What was that? I missed that last part, I'm sorry.
It'll be on the monitor in front of you. Oh, we can, yeah, there you go. If you can't find, this is this.
Well, it's a little.
Bottom of page 2. Oh, there, right there, in summary.
Why don't you read that to yourself and see if that helps you formulate a question. You need to scroll down a little bit.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, everybody. Would appreciate hitting that like button while you're here. I'm probably going to be covering this trial. It'll be the first time I do a heavy emphasis on a trial.
Okay. Do you want any part of this shown to the
I
witness?
mean, it is part of my wheelhouse.
Yeah. I want to go to that top part that I read first.
Oh, actually, I think we were talking about he doesn't need to refresh. I don't think it's been established.
Thank you,
he would need
Poetic,
to
for the
refresh her
99 cents.
recollection yet. She's testified from her memory. So you can use what's in this statement, sir, to formulate questions on cross-examination. And you can use leading questions. So at this point, I don't need to show it to her, but you can ask questions. We'll bring the jury back out and you can continue.
Would this be left up for me to see though? Wow.
We can leave it up.
We can leave it up.
Okay.
Is the part that's up sufficient, or do you need to scroll up? Does the state need to scroll up a little bit for you?
I would only need this part that's on my screen now,
Okay.
and then you whoever's stroll down a little bit past that to the second part. Up.
How about that? You should be able to see both parts now. Starts with in summary near the top,
Yeah.
and then
He was
that's
taking off his
page
shirt.
205,
Oh, I
and
did
then
see
down
that
below.
thumbnail. And I did
Originally it
see
says
that.
305,
Well, let's
but-
put it this way. I did see that part where he was taking off. He took off his freaking shirt. I did at least see that mess.
I'd like to bring the jury out, so let me know when you're ready.
Okay. I'm ready.
All right, let's have the jury brought back in. Mr. Brooks, you're doing a good job at
I'm
coming up with questions and
attempting.
following the process, and I appreciate you asking to come back over here.
Hot.
Oh, I noticed that the judge is like praising her, giving him pats on the back. It's all to ensure that we're all good to go. There's no way he can win on appeal. Like there's essentially they don't want to give the impression that there's a scintilla of bias against him, given what he's charged with, given the events of what happened.
All right, thank you, everyone. Please be seated. All right. Mr. Brooks, when you're ready, please continue with your cross-exam.
Okay. I'm gonna give everybody time to settle back in for a few seconds.
Okay.
I haven't read through his full criminal history. I know he he's a domestic abuser. I know that much. But I don't know his full criminal history.
Miss, is it Runkle?
It is.
You stated earlier that when you were hanging out with Erica at the park that you were drinking, right?
I did.
And you also stated that you guys separated and you went to go hang out with someone else.
With Nick, yes.
With Nick. You did state that Nick wasn't drinking, right?
Yes.
So I want to ask, earlier when I asked, I think you were asked by Attorney Whitchild if you heard any yelling or anything being yelled at Erica, or I'll forget how you phrased the question, but did you hear any yelling or anything directed towards you guys? And do you remember what you said?
I heard that you were yelling at Erica, telling her to get in the car, and that you were gonna kill her. That was you were gonna kill her was after the fact that you headed out, but that's probably not what you're asking. The fact of you were yelling at her, telling her to get in the car, was the time when you were around. Oh, I mean, sorry, Brooks was around.
You could say you.
Brooks or you? You said you, and then you said
Brooks.
Brooks.
You could say
But
you.
did state that you had never seen Brooks before November 21st of 2021. Would that be
Right.
fair to say?
Right.
And you also did say that you had only heard of him through Erica, correct?
Right.
At any time, did you ever observe any phone conversations or interactions between Erica and Brooks?
Am I allowed to answer that?
He's just asking you whether you have, not the content of any of those.
I have.
Would it be fair to say that you knew a lot of details about their relationship? Would that be fair to say?
I did.
What specifically did you know before November 21st, 2021?
Mr. Brooks, I'm sure you want to ask that question.
Ha!
Think about some of the pretrial rulings I've made.
Let me rephrase that.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry, it's new.
Oh my God.
So, in your statement that I'm looking at right here on the screen, it says, it is Runkle, right?
Yes.
I don't want to mispronounce your name. It says Runkle further stated that she heard Brooks telling Erica he was going to smash her face in and that he was going to kill her.
Yes.
I didn't
I'm sorry.
Is that what you heard?
Yes.
So you didn't hear what you just testified to hearing?
No.
Or did you hear what I just read to you?
I heard that after you were leaving.
After
Not that what you just read. I heard that after you were leaving.
you do know that this is your statement that I'm reading from, right?
I do.
We've established that, and this is argumentative.
Sustained. Rephrase.
I'm trying to figure out which one did you hear?
How many objections have there been? I don't know.
Did you
Probably
hear
a ton. All right.
that
I don't know.
I'm going to smash your face in, or did you hear what you previously said?
Well, I heard when you were sitting there arguing with her, I heard that.
Who is the you you're referring to?
Oh, I'm sorry. Brooks said that when he was arguing with Erica.
And you claim that it says right here, but through knowing Patterson, she did know that Brooks was Erica Patterson's boyfriend. Did she?
I've
ever
reached
tell
out
you that Brooks was her
to.
boyfriend?
I've had Mandy reach out to Natalie, Mike,
She said
and
I'm sorry.
Debbie
She said Brooks
for a
was her
future
ex.
collaboration.
I'm a little confused by the statement and then the testimony right now.
Objection, that's not a question.
It's just not.
Sustained. Mr. Brooks, you need to formulate a question for the witness.
Did you ever hear, now this is coming from your statement, Runkle stated that after a short dispute
All right,
between
Jessa.
her, Kirby, I guess that would be referring to Nick.
Yes.
After a short dispute between her, Kirby, and Brooks, she saw Brooks get back into the red SUV and heard him saying something to the effect of, I don't swear, so F you, effing bees, you're dead. Did you at any time hear anything like that?
Yes.
So when you just testified, why did that part of your statement never come up? Why did you never say that?
Because it probably wasn't brought up
It wasn't asked
at that time, but it's in my memory.
So what all exactly did you hear?
I heard what you
Hold
were
on,
saying.
You heard you say at this time? Like, the question's not clear to me. Like, what time frame? And who are we talking about?
When, because in the video it's clear that
Hold on, go back to your question. I didn't mean for you to not ask it. I just want to make sure I understand specifically who you're asking this witness about statements that were made.
I'm asking about who she said was the individual driving the vehicle.
Well, it's different than what you just asked. So if
Well,
you wanna
It is different from what you just asked. What the fuck?
Just clarified it a little bit. So what exactly did you hear coming from the individual who was driving the vehicle?
I'm sorry, can we just clarify at what point we're talking about?
Exactly.
At the point that I guess I would refer back to the video at that point that we saw on the video.
So what point of the video? There's lots of points. That was many minutes long.
Roughly, I'm not sure, I think it was
Can you describe what part of the video you want?
the part
her
of
to
the
talk about?
video, when that she testified to, where she said she had the green gloves, and
So
she was
in the
standing.
beginning
She was
of the
standing
video?
no, it was like towards the middle. She was standing in the street, and she said she had the green gloves because I think somebody asked her which one was she,
Right.
and she
I
said
remember
the
that.
one with the green gloves.
I remember that.
At that point,
I remember that.
at that point, Did you observe anything being said out of said vehicle? Did you hear anything being yelled or screamed or anything like that at that point?
Well, before I showed up, I heard yelling.
You heard yelling before you showed up.
Yeah, because like before I showed up into the video.
So how far were you down the street that you were able to hear what was being said?
Objection.
Not.
Calls for effect, not in evidence. She didn't say what she heard. She didn't say she could understand what was said.
She can answer the question. I'm going to overrule it. I understand what the state is saying, but I think he's trying to establish where she was at that point in time. So go ahead and answer.
No, okay. I was right where you pulled up the second time.
Are you sure you know what I was asking?
Objection.
It was not entirely clear to maybe all of us, but I was trying to give you some leeway. So
I knew you understood where I was going with that. Were you at a, let me say it like this, were you at a distance before you came into that video? Like approximately how far away were you from the vehicle and from Erica before you heard anything being yelled or screamed, as you said?
I was at a distance.
So would it be fair to say that it would be hard to hear the conversation that was being had?
Not really. Brooks was yelling pretty loud.
So you were able to hear the gist of the conversation from the distance that you were at?
Yes.
Even with a parade going on and a street full of people, you were able to hear from a distance, which you just said you were at a distance, you were able to hear the gist of the conversation.
The parade was nowhere close.
answer the question. Were you able to hear?
Oh, yes, sorry.
You were able to hear, even testifying that you were drinking vodka.
Yes.
What else did you hear?
At what point and by whom?
At the same point, what did you hear from Erica at that point?
I don't remember.
But you remember hearing something from the driver of the vehicle who was inside of the car.
Yep.
But you don't remember what you heard from Erica, who was outside of the car and would be more easier to hear.
Okay, thank you for being specific at that. I
You're
remember
welcome.
Erica sitting there telling me that she wanted to go.
So she was telling you that from you being at a distance.
No, she was right next to me. That was when she was walking towards. She said, "Come on, let's go."
At what point was that? Because you just testified that you were at a distance.
Objection, argumentative. I'm also going to object to the manner in which this defendant is asking this witness these questions. He's intentionally misleading her. He's trying to confuse her.
Mr. Brooks, the purpose of cross-examination is to ask questions that are relevant, test her credibility, other things like that. It gets to be a little confusing, at times maybe a little argumentative. I don't have all the reports in front of me, so I can't say whether it's misleading or not. But ask a direct question. You're able to ask leading questions so that she can answer directly. Be as specific as you can.
I mean, at
time,
best,
place, circumstances. It's helpful for all.
I mean,
at best
the
it could
video was very clear that
But you can't testify right now, right? You can't make an argument about the video. So your opinion about it right now, that's not appropriate.
I want to.
Keep going. For the record, the objection was sustained.
You made a reference to being a reference to chesting up with the driver of the vehicle. What was said at that point between you and who you were chesting up with?
Well, I'm not gonna go back to that, but I was sitting there saying that you shouldn't be hitting a woman. No, Brooks should not be hitting a woman, and Brooks was saying that Erica Patterson is not a woman.
Huh.
Are you sure that's what you heard? At that moment when you were chesting up, in your words?
Yes.
You sure that's what you heard?
Yes.
What then happened from that point?
Then we started brawling it out. Oh, me and Brooks started brawling it out.
Wait, y'all
What
fought
do
each
you mean
other?
by brawling it out?
Threw a couple punches.
Oh shit! They actually fought each other?
I threw a punch. Brooks smacked me.
So did you put that in the report that you made, or the summary of the report that you gave to, I think it was Attorney Whitchaw said, a detective?
Objection, there's no evidence. This witness prepared a report or a summary.
Sustained.
Did you report that in your report?
It's something that's in my memory, but I hope I did.
Would it be fair to say that if you had just brawled with someone and talked to a detective that you would report it? Would that be fair to say?
Can you say that again?
Would it be fair to say that if you had just had a brawl with someone and you talked to police directly after the brawl that you would report it? Would that be fair to say?
Holy shit, John.
I know you're asking a question, but
Hold on, you need to ask. You do need to ask.
okay.
You do need to answer his question. It called for a yes or no answer.
Okay, it's not in the report. I specifically said.
Hold on, that's not a question though. Okay,
sorry.
so that's okay. Ask your next question.
Would it be fair to say by the video footage that there was no brawl or punches thrown by either party? Would that be fair to say?
There was.
Can we show the witness the video again?
Are you asking?
I have not seen the Mario Brothers trailer, Taco, but thank you for the $2.
Fair to say that the video shows a brawl in which you just said that punches were thrown. That'd be fair to say.
Okay, so what's a brawl to you?
You can't.
Yeah, but-
Hold on, Mr. Brooks. Are you trying to ask whether she?
I don't know if
Confirm with her that she saw the video, and then on that video, you cannot see a brawl between her and Mr. Brooks. Is that what you're trying to get at?
A version of that, yes, but I was
You
gonna
got to ask the questions
I
though
was
to
gonna
get to
say,
that.
can the video be shown to her again?
Ask your questions, sir.
In the video that you saw, would it be fair to say that a brawl was not depicted on that video? Would that be fair to say?
I don't know big words. What's depicted?
Can you see it in the video? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
That's what I mean.
Yes, I could see it.
You could see the brawl?
Yeah, I say it's a brawl. It's just it's just like a push, looks like a push, but it was a smack. And I got up and yeah.
You got up, so you were
I got up and swung.
You were knocked to the ground?
No.
So where did you get up from?
From being pushed and smacked.
So you fell to the ground?
I didn't fall to the ground.
Sustained. Next question, sir.
So would it be fair to say that in the video it shows you being knocked to the ground?
She didn't testify to that. I would object to that too.
I staggered back.
Would it be?
Somebody's watching the live stream.
I got kind of thrown off for a second.
You and me both. People need to make sure their phones and other electronics.
Somebody's watching the live stream in the gallery.
Would it be fair to say?
I don't know why they're at the fucking event.
You being knocked to the ground at any point. Would that be a fair assessment?
So I'll object to relevance because the witness never testified that she was knocked to the ground. So this is not a question aimed at her credibility.
She just said she got knocked to the ground.
She did not.
She
She said she got up. I'm sorry. She said she got up, which would constitute being, if you're not knocked to the ground or down,
war
you can't
words
get up.
here, Mr. Brooks.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, she was clear. I think she clarified what it meant by getting up, and it might mean something different to you than it does to her. But we need to keep going.
So can I ask what is getting up? What does getting up mean to you?
Stagger back.
So it would be fair to ask you then, does the video show you staggering back?
It does.
Potentially,
Does it
yes,
show you
Don,
being
if you had a certain judge that wouldn't tolerate it.
smacked?
It does.
Can we show her the video again?
Go ahead. Play the video. You want it to the jury or to her?
To her.
All
I would
right.
ask that we publish it.
I think it's an exhibit, sir, and let's publish it. Okay.
Your Honor, would it be too much to ask if we went straight to that part of the video?
I don't know what part it is. I don't have the timestamp.
I'm guessing this might be it right here.
It's coming up.
Let's just watch, and then we'll ask questions. You'll ask questions when we're done watching.
So we're playing from 3 minutes and 9 seconds on Exhibit 3.
All right, I missed the first depiction of this. So they were chest bumping, throwing hands. He pushed her. She went up to him back. And then he leaving.
You can stop that. That's
All right. What's the time for the stopping of the video, please?
3 minutes and 47 seconds.
All right. Your question for her then, based on that?
My question would be, you just viewed the video again. That'd be fair to say.
I did.
At any time in that video, were you in fact smacked and staggered back?
Can I tell the exact time?
If you know, yes, go ahead.
At 3:23.
Can we see 323?
Go ahead. We'll start it a little bit before, so make sure to capture it. You should be able to see the time.
24.
Okay.
Go back.
We went from about 319 to 327.
Thank you. Your question regarding the video, sir?
My question again would be the same question. You just saw it again. In the portion of the video you just saw, would it be fair to say, on your part, your interpretation, that you were in fact smacked and staggered back?
Yes.
Were
Dude,
are you sure you weren't
you gotta move on.
over exaggerating that?
Even if asked and answered, even if you think that she lied, that's up to the judge.
Sustained.
Or excuse me, that's up to the jury to determine credibility. He
Would you
wants
say
her to
again
admit
what
that she
happened
was wrong,
directly
but
after that?
she's probably not going to admit to that. So move on.
Directly after the smack,
Directly after what you say is a smack.
staggered back.
No, directly after that whole incident.
I call it get up, but I came back and swung.
Would it be fair to say that the video doesn't show any of that you just said? Would that be fair?
It shows it somewhere.
So would it be fair that you're saying your interpretation of what you just saw would constitute a brawl, as you say, or brawling it out, as you say?
Hold on, Mr. Brooks. I've given you a lot of leeway on this topic. What's the relevance of all of this at this point?
Finally, all right, finally the judge is going into this.
And what didn't, and what's in the video and what's not, and the jury can ultimately decide that. You can argue it later on to the
I'm
jury.
sorry, I thought this state
Where are we
was
going?
supposed to object to that. If they saw an objection, I'm a little confused about that.
It's up to their prerogative whether or not to object to you or not.
Back to what's relevant for the trial.
Well, I thought it was relevant because of what the video is actually depicting.
And that video is going to speak for itself. It's been an exhibit.
Yes, it
And
does.
so you've asked a lot of questions about it. So let's move on. Under 906.11, that's my authority. I'm telling you to move forward. Next line of
Did you
questioning.
hear anything after the, as you say, brawling out? Did you hear anything coming from the vehicle? Was anything said to you directly coming from the vehicle at that point?
Do you understand the question?
Would it be after you leave? Oh wait, Brooks leaves? Or when
I was
Brooks gets
clearing
in?
what I just asked after the brawling it out.
But you asked directed at her, and then you said anything from the vehicle. So that's a compound question. So you need to be specific.
Did you hear anything after the brawling it out, as you say? Did you hear anything directed towards you?
Directed towards me? No.
Did you hear anything directed towards Nick?
I remember something being said.
Do you recall what was said?
I do not.
Did you hear anything directed
Oh, of course they
towards
are, John.
Erica?
They are going to show that.
What did you hear directed towards Erica?
At what time?
Right after the brawling it out, as you say. Did you hear anything directed specifically towards Erica?
Not till he left. No, not till Brooks left.
Would you say that again?
Not till Brooks left.
So, did you or did you not hear anything directed towards Erica after the brawling it out, as you say?
Oh, okay, no.
So, can we pull that statement up again?
Go ahead. The state would do that once again. Just to the preview.
Tacos are on their way.
I'm reading directly from the statement where it says,
Mr. Brooks, it may or may not be a statement, so you need to be accurate. I know you're referring to a police report.
the summary of the statement. I'm reading directly from the summary of the statement. where it says Runkle stated that after a short dispute between her, Kirby, and Brooks, she saw Brooks get back into the red SUV and heard him saying something to the effect of "F you effing bees, you're dead," as he was leaving.
So I'll object on 2 grounds.
Right on, Juan.
Answered, and 2, this could confuse the witness because it's not. She used the F and the B.
Sustained.
It was something on the back end of that I didn't get to.
I'm not sure what you mean by that, sir, but
was-
you've already asked that question before, so the objection is sustained.
I actually don't recall asking a question directly to that part of the summary.
I do. You read through that previously.
He's trying
Do you
his
remember what the
best
question was, so that I don't re-ask
to do the sovereign split person all caps
Mr.
versus
Brooks, move on.
the man type of thing, couched in like a mistaken identity BS,
Did you ever
mistaken
hear
identity angle.
something to the effect of "F you effing bees, you're dead"?
I did.
At what point did you hear that?
While Brooks was leaving.
So that would it be fair to say that you heard that after the brawling
Yes.
it out?
You shook your head. Can you say
Yes.
Thank you.
That's a little confusing. So
Mr. Brooks, that's
Objection.
not a
Not a
question.
question.
I'm about to ask a
Testify.
question.
You
If I
can't
can
do
get
that.
to it,
Ask your question.
You're not
You can't
fucking
mischaracterize
Matlock.
the evidence.
You can't just make like random statements in response to a question.
In your questions, you can't mischaracterize prior testimony or evidence. You have to be accurate. So,
I'm trying to be, but it's
what's your next question, sir?
Do you fucking Zoomers even know what Matlock is? I feel like y'all don't.
just a quick second.
Right, unless you have a different topic.
It is.
Anything related to this, what's in the summary, the questions regarding what she heard or didn't hear around here around this time. We've gone through that. You've gone through it. Under 906.11, you need to move on and ask a new line of questions.
I was trying to, if I can get to it.
Go ahead.
This part of the summary that I'm looking at now says Runkle stated that she did see pictures of Brooks following the Christmas parade incident via social media.
I love Matlock. I always watch it rerun, the series syndication like after
Brooks
school.
I don't know, it looks kind of, I don't know if that's a mark on my screen that's going through. Okay, I couldn't read it.
I'll object. I don't think there's a question there.
Right.
I didn't get to it yet.
Well, then I'll object to the ongoing commentary with lack of any questioning.
And I'll sustain that objection.
Oh, I do have a question. You said that you had known Erica roughly since you were rooming up at the women's shelter. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Do you have any idea why she would refer to you as Corey Gray?
Because I go by that.
So how close would you say you guys were?
Close.
Close, like hung out all the time, every day?
Yes. Hung out every day. Sorry.
I don't know what the relevance of this is.
And do you know of any time before November the 21st of 2021. Do you know if any time before that Erica mentioned to you anything about the relationship that she had with Brooks outside of what you learned that day?
Can you say that again?
At any time before November 21st of 2021, did Erica ever confide any information to you before that day?
She did.
What was the nature of the information?
Why would you want to ask that?
It's not allowed to be brought up.
I think she's referring to a pretrial ruling that she's aware of.
Yep.
So, you want to rethink asking that question, sir? Otherwise, I'm going to allow her to answer it.
What pretrial?
Back when you had attorneys.
No, I'm not. Are we both privy to the same?
I bet. Yeah.
Pretrial?
Dumbass. He's probably going to tell him, dumb fuck. Back when you probably had attorneys, they probably had a pretrial ruling that they were not going to bring up his past domestic abuse because it would be prejudicial to his character. But he wants to bring it up. He wants to. Even the fucking prosecutors are trying to take a side.
Do you want to move on?
I want to move on.
All right,
Yeah, I bet you do, you dumb fuck.
The jury will disregard the question that was asked.
God damn.
So
yeah.
I wanna
yes,
ask,
Mandy.
Was there any during the brawling out point? Was there any interaction between the driver of the vehicle and Nick?
There was.
Do you remember what the nature of that interaction or exchange was between those two?
I don't know. I just remember jumping in front.
Do you recall any threats being made towards Nick or from Nick towards the driver of the vehicle?
Oh, I do.
Relevance.
Overruled. She may answer.
I do.
Do you remember what was said specifically?
Not specifically, but I remember Brooks getting mad because Nick was coming to Erica's rescue. Right along with Corey. Me.
Do you recall any knife being involved in any of that situation during that exchange whatsoever?
No knife.
Hey there.
Were you aware that was
What's up?
Hey, Blue.
why police was responding to that incident?
I did not.
Hey, Artie.
Did you at any time have a knife during that incident?
I did not.
Do you know if Nick had a knife during that incident?
He did not.
Have you been watching this
Do
today?
you know if Erica had a knife Do you know if Erica had a knife during that?
No, I have not.
She did not.
I've been tied up on some other things today.
As far as your memory, do you recall reporting that a knife was involved in that incident?
I do not.
Do you recall if Nick reported a knife being involved in that incident?
It's possible.
Do you recall Erica reporting that a knife was involved in that incident?
I do not.
You testified to drinking a half pint of vodka that day. Was that the only thing you had to drink that day?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that you were tipsy?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that you may even have been intoxicated?
No.
For any reason that day, acknowledging that you were drinking, would that have impaired your thinking of the situation in any way?
No.
So would it be fair to say that you were of clear and sober mind during that whole incident after drinking a half pint of vodka?
Yes.
So there, to the best of your memory, there wouldn't be any reason why you may have left something out or maybe not been clear about anything that happened during that specific incident.
Possibly left some things out.
Do you remember what they might have been?
No.
Do you know the plaintiff?
Objection. For previous reasons.
Sustained.
Oh, that's a sovereign citizen
Have you ever seen the plaintiff?
question. That's a sovereign citizen question. That I was wondering if he was going to do it with this witness.
Have you ever had any interaction with the plaintiff?
Objection.
Objection.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Let me redirect.
Very, very briefly.
Go ahead.
Mr. Runkle, you met with Detective David Van Els to provide a statement on November 22nd of 2021. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That's accurate?
Yes.
Okay, you remember telling Detective Van Els, when he was asking you about this incident, that when you arrived you heard Daryl Brooks telling Erica Patterson that he was going to, quote, smash her face in and that he was going to kill her, end quote.
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember telling Detective Van Els that as you saw Brooks get back into the red SUV, you heard him say something to the effect of, quote, fuck you, fucking bitches, you're dead, end quote.
I do.
Okay. During your cross-examination, you repeatedly referred to a person as Brooks. The person depicted in the video, Exhibit 3, the person that you chested up to, is that person in the courtroom?
He is.
Can you point him out for us and just very clearly tell us?
There, thank you, Mr. Prosecutor, for doing this. Perfect.
You want me to point?
Yes, please.
Alright, he's right there and he's wearing orange.
I'd ask the record reflect.
There we go. Awesome.
It will.
And I have no further questions.
There is the nail
Thank
in the
you.
coffin.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this will be an excellent stopping point for us this evening. Thank you for your patience this evening. I do need to go through one instruction with you. Do not begin your deliberations and discussion of the case until all the evidence is presented and I have instructed you on the law. Do not discuss this case among yourselves or with anyone else until your final deliberations in the jury room. This order is not limited to face-to-face conversations. It also extends to all forms of electronic communications. Do not use any electronic devices such as a mobile phone or computer, text or instant messaging or social networking sites to send or receive any information about this case or your experience as a juror. If you come in contact with the parties, lawyers, interpreters, or witnesses, do not speak with them. For their part, the parties, lawyers, interpreters, and witnesses will not...
Yes, I spoke to my cousin the Reaper and he got Mr. Brooks first class ticket
Reaper
to hell
just super
already
chatted
for
with
him. 100. They said for the next round of tacos. P.S. I spoke to my cousin the Reaper and he got Mr. Brooks first class ticket to hell already for him.
Why is it play? I thought I fixed that, but apparently not. Oh my god. Anyway, oh my god, that.
Artie, do I need to send you a defibrillator?
I'm okay. I just need more tacos. All right, we're gonna go back to the earlier clips today. Jesus. This is the very early, I guess the early beginnings of the trial before he was sent out the other room. At least the first time he was sent.
Mr. Brooks, I've had many trials with individuals who were in custody, and when I've talked to the jurors after the conclusion of the case, they had no idea. The whole point of allowing for street clothing is not only to shield jurors from the fact that you are in custody, but also you being in a suit and a tie or other street clothing, I think also lends to the dignity of the proceedings. This is a trial. Again, it is your choice. Are you willing to go back to your cell and be dressed in the street clothes that you previously appeared in?
With all due respect, I do not agree with that assessment whatsoever. There's no possible way that anybody will not know that I am in custody. I think that's a well-known fact because it's reported on every day in the media. It's shown every day on the news where I am, what jail I'm housed in, and that I'm in custody. It's virtually impossible for anybody to not know that I'm in custody.
Mr. Brooks, did you hear the question that I asked you?
And I respectfully keep the position that I just put on the record.
Mr. Brooks, I will ask you again. Are you willing to go back to your cell or into the jail and put on street clothes?
I do not consent or agree to anything that you just stated, Your Honor.
All right, he did not provide an answer to a very direct question. Let the record be very clear that Mr. Brooks was given multiple opportunities to answer that question. And go back, Mr. Brooks, that's yet another interruption. I will advise you, sir, that at any point in time, if you wish to put street clothes on, I would give you that opportunity to do so. You've already heard it is my preference. You've already heard me advise you regarding the steps that have been taken to shield the fact that you are in custody from the jurors. You refuse to answer my question about whether you would go back to the jail. That's another interruption. So based on his refusal and his choice to come, that's another interruption. Based upon his failure to answer my question directly, I will take that as a non-response, but he came to court here today. That's another interruption. I will take that because he's come to court here today in his jail attire, that is a choice that he has made freely, voluntarily, and intelligently. No one has forced him to come to jail in those clothes. This court is encouraging him not to. He's appeared previously in his street clothes in what I would describe as a very nice suit and tie, but it is his choice to not do that, and we will proceed accordingly.
So while we're on the record, may I challenge the subject matter jurisdiction?
No, you may not, sir. You need to file a motion in order to do that.
Mr.
Brooks?
I filed haven't even been responded to. I gave.
Which would be why he needs
Brooks,
a lawyer.
You're interrupting me yet again.
You just weren't speaking,
all right,
so
Mr. Brooks, you are now going to be removed to the other courtroom.
To that.
I have had a dozen or more interruptions. We'll be off the record while we do that. Thank you, everyone.
I don't agree to a stop. Well, I move for a motion to dismiss for being under duress and being coerced into a contract that I did not consent or agree to. I did not.
Oh my God.
I have a right to be present for trial.
Well,
oh dear Lord.
You're losing that right. All right, let's watch this shirtless mess and get myself demonetized.
All right, we are back on the record. Appearances are as they were before. I need to make a record that at 8:42 a.m. this court ordered Mr. Brooks be removed from the courtroom due to repeated interruptions and disruption with the court. This, of course, comes on the recent history with Mr. Brooks on every day that we have been in court since Monday. He has shown a complete and utter disrespect for the simple rules of civility. He has been removed from the courtroom multiple times. This morning alone, he started interrupting this court within a minute of the court calling the case. I should also make a record at the moment he is muted because of the way that he was removed from the courtroom and his conduct since. I have been given just a bit of information about it. I will advise everyone that I have required that the Sheriff's Department file a written report with the court regarding Mr. Brooks's conduct. I'm told that he would not sit down while in this courtroom in order to have the shackles removed so that he could be taken to the other courtroom, that he was resisting, that at one point he took off a shoe and it appeared to the deputies that he was going to throw the shoe. You can see that he is seated with his back to the court or to the camera. He took his shirt off as well. I'm also told that he is threatening to throw and break items. I want to give him headphones since he has claimed in the past to be hard of hearing in one ear, but given his statement that he would throw and break things, unless he can pledge to this court that he will not do that, I'm not going to provide that information. I will advise that the audio in that courtroom should be turned up accordingly so that it is louder than it has been. I've also been advised that the audio and visual equipment is working in that courtroom. The deputies that are in there can see and hear the court
Subs before
through the
doves.
Polycom system.
Am I right, Omega?
Today is a little bit different in that there is no Zoom. And so, but this court, with the blessing of technology in this new building, have the ability to call in one room system to the other. That is why we're able to see and, when appropriately, hear him when unmuted. And then there are the 4 camera angles that are presently from this courtroom. I have the camera in the other courtroom on a single camera since he's the only individual in there. This court has, in essence, extended this courtroom to the neighboring courtroom. While there is ample evidence in the record, not only through the proceedings up to this point, but this morning alone, that through his conduct, he has forfeited his right to be present. I'd also make a finding that he is appearing from that courtroom, and that because of the audio and visual equipment and system that we have in place, that it is the functional equivalent of being present in this courtroom. This court has relied repeatedly on Illinois versus Allen. I've read portions of that case into the record. I don't intend to go through that at length here today, other than to indicate that trial judges that are confronted with disruptive, contemptuous, stubbornly defiant defendants must be given sufficient discretion to meet the circumstances of each case. No one formula exists for maintaining the appropriate courtroom atmosphere will be best in all situations. And in that case, there were at least 3 constitutionally permissible ways for a trial judge to handle a stubbornly defiant defendant, which this court would find Mr. Brooks squarely has become and has demonstrated over the course of these last few days. One option is to bind and gag him. I've already talked about at a previous hearing why I choose not to do that. Cite him for contempt. I choose not to do that either. The third is to take him out of the courtroom until he promises to conduct himself properly. Mr. Brooks today, of course, showed up in court from the jail in his jail attire. He does that by his choice. I gave him the opportunity to go back to the jail to put on his suit and tie or other street clothes. He refused to answer that question. This court will continue with this trial, as I have previously indicated. There are many resources that have been put into bringing this day to bear, and it is important for all involved that this trial continue. Again, Mr. Brooks is given the opportunity to appear from that other courtroom. At this point, I'm still in the final housekeeping matters, and so he clearly has forfeited his right to be present for that. I will advise Mr. Brooks, as I have advised him repeatedly, if at any point in time he wants to come back and he is willing to promise that he will abide by the rules of courtesy and decorum and be civil and show respect for the court proceedings for all individuals in this courtroom, including Mr. Brooks himself, then he may come back in. It's also my intention to give him that opportunity at each new stage. But again, we are in the
preliminary
stage
my
prior
finger.
to the jury being brought in. I would note it's a little after 9:06 a.m.
Oh my God.
Is he preparing for his OnlyFans page, Artie, or what?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Did you see what happened with the finger thing?
That he cut his finger, bust his finger, something like that. I have no idea.
He said when they were pulling him out that he got a boo-boo on his finger. It didn't even bleed.
Document at this time.
Oh, really?
All right, thank you.
And he wanted
Then we'll
medical
move on to the
attention.
motion for reconsideration. And again, I'm keeping Mr. Brooks muted so that I can get through this process orderly, efficiently. When necessary, I will unmute him if the court has questions. All right, Attorney Opera, I have read through the motion. Is there anything you want to add to what you have put in your filing?
Only one other observation, Your Honor, that since I filed that, the events of the last couple days, I think further support my request. Not that the defendant's behavior in the courtroom has anything to do with the broadcasting of victims and witnesses, but I think the stress that is going to be placed upon them potentially by Mr. Brooks' behavior will be additional challenge to them as they testify, and so not having their faces displayed, I think, would help ease some of that tension for those individuals.
Mr. Brooks, my first question to you is,
So
do you have a position on the state's request in their motion for reconsideration? I'm looking for a yes or no answer.
So they're reconsidering depicting the witnesses as they're testifying in the broadcast. I think that's what they're reconsidering.
Sir, if I'll unmute and provide that to me.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to
I
me.
didn't hear what they said. I just put the headphones on, so I didn't even hear what she said.
Sir, it's a written document that was filed, and you were provided a copy of that yesterday. We took a recess yesterday so it could be served upon you. If you haven't read it, that's your choice. What I'm asking you is, do you have any position on their request for this court to reconsider the denial of the state's request to prohibit the photography and video recording of victims and witnesses, and specifically their faces, while they testify?
A ruling was already, we already talked about that. You already ruled that the victims and witnesses will be shown. That was already ruled on.
You are correct, but they filed a motion for reconsideration. That's the document that was provided to you yesterday. I'm asking if you have any position on the request that I reconsider my ruling.
Yeah, it was everything's supposed to be public. This is a public trial. I don't understand why there would be even the need to reconsider what you already ruled on at this point, as far as to that particular issue.
I take your
It's a public trial. It's a public trial. Anybody can essentially watch the trial. And like I said, as far as with the technology that we're in now, if they have to be sworn in by name, that in itself makes them easy to, if somebody wanted to pull them up or find them or find out who was testifying at any given time testimony is given, it'd be pretty easy for them to be found and to be seen. So, I mean, that's just the age we're in anyway, as far as with social media and Google and all these different things. We got all this technology basically at our fingertips.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I don't understand.
Because they're actually not really wrong.
How it needs to be changed at this point when it was already ruled that this is a public trial. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be shown. Why not keep everything public the way that it's intended to be? And because of the fact that you've already ruled on it, made that on a record, let's keep it the way it is.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brooks. I appreciate your legal analysis of that and your factual analysis of the prior ruling that this court gave. I thought you did an excellent
reconsideration
job
does
some
require
very good points, many of which I relied upon.
And I think
previously.
even at the time she made her ruling,
There
they
is a
already were
mechanism
well aware of his
for the party
antics.
to
So
bring
it's not like it's not as if anything has really changed at this point.
essentially.
So I don't see
requires
why
that
the judge
the
would
party bringing the
go with the
motion
reconsideration because it's not as if anything really changed
provide some
from
new
the time she made her ruling
information
now.
or rely on an argument that
Artie, your
that the court
volumes are
erred
really
as a matter
low
of law
on
in
your
its prior
mic.
ruling. The decision that I made previously and the decision that I make here today is one that is vested with the sound discretion of the court. I would note the state does rely upon a case. The case is not new, so it's clearly something that was in existence at the time of the prior motion. That's Estes versus State of Texas.
See, I told him that
It's
yesterday.
381 U.S. 532, but I would note it's from 1965. In 1965, I would say even in the 1980s here in Waukesha County, there was really a presumption that cameras not be allowed in courtrooms at all. We have moved vastly away from that over the course of the last couple decades, and certainly since 1965. I am certainly mindful of the potential stress that it may cause for victims and other witnesses to come into court and testify and to have their image.
All right, so I think that's basically all that was about for that reconsideration. Oh, is this the cut, bruise, and finger?
Advise the sheriff's department to let Mr. Brooks know, to ask him on my behalf if he wanted to come back into this courtroom. My understanding is he declined.
No, that is not accurate, Your Honor.
Mr. Brooks?
The reason
Mr. Brooks?
I would just want it.
Hold on, I'm gonna mute you for a second unless you stop and listen to me.
I just heard what you said, but
I'm not asking for a response, sir. Mr. Brooks?
It's not.
Okay, you're
accurate,
interrupting, hold on. You're interrupting me, sir. I wasn't looking for a response. I'm happy to ask you the question myself on the record for you to answer it. I will give you the opportunity to come back into this courtroom. You have demonstrated that you can make cogent, coherent, articulate arguments on the record. You just did that. You've been respectful for the time being. I will ask you, sir, do you want to come back into this courtroom? You've been unmuted to answer that question.
I don't know why this guy thinks that
I can
silence
receive medical treatment for the bruise.
is an invitation to talk.
On my arm and the cut. You just said a while ago on the record that you cannot see blood. That's because I wiped it on my pants, and you can still see the blood in the cut and a big bruise right here on my arm. I was told that the nurse would be coming in to see me, and then I was told, no, she's going to come at the next recess, which we just took. I know it was technical difficulties why you called the recess, but that was more than
Why is he
enough
going
time
on
for
about
me to at
this?
least
She
be
asked him a
seen,
specific
at least
question.
get the cut cleaned out and get it bandaged, at least at minimum that, and for somebody
You
to
need
look
someone
at
to
this
kiss
bruise.
his boo-boo.
That was that was my position on why I was not yet ready to come back into the court, because I feel like this needs to be addressed.
All right, Mr. Brooks, I understand your request. I'm denying the request to take an adjournment, or I'm sorry, to take a break at this time.
No, I'm not asking for a break. I didn't ask for a break. I was just saying that at the time that there was the technical difficulty recess, before you even called that, Your Honor, I was told that a nurse was coming in at that time, but then when you called the recess for the technical difficulty, I was then told that I would have to wait until another recess to be able to be seen by the nurse, which my thing was, I
Mr.
wanted
Brooks,
to
you've
get
made
seen
your
by the
record,
nurse.
okay? I don't need you to go further with that. You've made your record. I'm gonna mute you for the time being. I want you to be aware, sir, I was advised regarding the cut, the bruises, new information. I made a determination that you would be seen at the next appropriate break. From my perspective, a small cut and a bruise is not going to hold up the start of bringing the jurors in and advising them of the preliminary jury instructions. If that means the next break we take is for lunch and that's when you are seen, then that's what will happen. So I don't think I've overlooked anything, Attorney Opper, but anything you had on your list?
Nothing else on my list, but we want to give Mr. Brooks one more opportunity to change out of his orange jail uniform, excuse me.
That I would give him an opportunity to do. Mr. Brooks, would you like to go back and change into your suit?
My position has not changed.
Okay.
Whatsoever, and it will not change, as it is my right to come into court how I would like to. Just like I should be awarded the right to be present for every proceedings in this trial.
All right, I'm muting him again. I note your objection. I will take that as a clear indication you do not want to go back to the jail to change into street or civilian clothing, that you are exercising your right to dress in the jail attire. All right, then with that, I am going to just take a
Jackass.
He's a freaking idiot.
Oh God! So this part is where he decides to put his objection thing on his
or for even
down
a
his
minute.
pants.
There need not be any appreciable time between the formation of the intent and the act.
Oh, so I think this is reading jury jury instructions.
The act, including the instant before the act, and is necessary to a conviction. Proof of motive is not. Motive refers to a person's reason for doing something. While motive may be shown as a circumstance proved as to count 6, you should find the defendant guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as 21 of 2021 on Main Street in the city of Waukesha County, Wisconsin.
All right, when's he gonna put it in his pants?
The safety of Sasha Catalan Castillo under circumstances which show utter disregard for human life and while using a dangerous weapon, contrary to section 941.30 sub 1, 939.50
He gets
sub
tired
3
of holding
sub
it.
F, and 939.63 sub 1 sub B of the Wisconsin statutes. The 10th
Oh my God.
count of the information in this case charges that Darrell E. Brooks, on or about Sunday, November 21 of 2021, on Main Street in the city of Waukesha,
Oh my God.
Waukesha County, Wisconsin, did recklessly endanger the safety of Maura Gilchrist under circumstances which show utter disregard for human life and while using a dangerous weapon, contrary to section 941.30 sub 1, 939.50 sub 3 sub F, and 939.63 sub 1 sub B of the Wisconsin statutes. The 11th count of the information in this case charges that Darrell E. Brooks, on or about Sunday, November 21.
Danny says that
on Main Street in the city
Darrell
of
can go
Waukesha,
fuck off with his
Waukesha County, Wisconsin,
hurt
Did
finger and
recklessly
bruised
endanger the
arm.
Safety of Justin Gullickson under circumstances which show.
Hey,
other
Thea.
regard
Oh,
for human
thank you
life
all of you for
or
re-upping your
using a
memberships.
dangerous weapon, contrary to section 941.30 sub 1, 939.50 sub 3 sub F, and 939.63 sub 1 sub B of the Wisconsin statutes. The 12th count of the information in this case charges that Jarrell E. Brooks, on or about Sunday, November 21 of 2021,
Oh,
What's next?
This is like watching a circus show.
It is.
it's hard to
Claims a
believe that it's
juror
real.
flipped him off. A juror flipped him off.
we'll make sure you have copies of the filings as well, so you know what will be discussed, or at least addressed in some fashion. But I need to provide copies to the state. Go ahead, sir.
I noticed that one of the jurors, the lady in the black that's closest to the screen in that corner chair over there, I recognized her from my initial appearance. She flipped me off coming in to my initial appearance and coming out. I know it's her for a fact. I seen her about like how I'm looking at you right now, so I know for a fact that's her. I don't want that to end up being an issue. Is this some type of way that could be addressed by Your Honor?
Mr. Brooks, you had an opportunity to exercise preemptory strikes and even to question jurors about that. You chose not to. So at this point, any issue you have with that juror is waived.
Okay, you do remember that I was not present in the courtroom. I couldn't see. All I can see from that courtroom in there is just you, Your Honor, and the prosecution's table. I can't even see the bailiffs. So it was no way for me to even see who the jury was.
Well, if you'd act right, you might get
Obviously,
to stay
I
in the
wouldn't know
courtroom.
them by name.
Yeah.
If I would have been able to see the jurors, I would have immediately addressed that.
I will make this one indulgence. I'll have the civilian bailiff ask that juror if she was in attendance at your initial appearance out of an abundance of caution. These are jurors, though, who with the jury questionnaires were also asked what knowledge they had about proceedings they watched or even attended. And no one, to my knowledge, has disclosed anything like that, but out of an abundance of caution, we will ask that juror if she was in attendance at your initial appearance. So for now, that's how I'll address it. I'll advise you of what her answer is later.
Do we know the number?
Do you know the number of the jurors, sir? They have numbers.
I just know that I can't see the number from here. I just know the chair she was sitting in.
Which chair, sir? Top row or the top or the bottom row?
The bottom row, the last black chair.
Which last black chair?
She had the black
They're
shirt
all
on.
black chairs, sir. So
The last
chair
black
closest-
chair
Oh my God.
closest to the television.
Thank you, sir, because there are two sides, right? So there's the last chair on both sides. So I wanted to make clear. You're saying the chair closest to the television. Thank you.
I said that at the beginning, Your Honor.
Front row.
The more I hear of him, the more infuriated I get.
Yeah, me too.
All right. I guess this is a highlight from the opening statement for the prosecution.
Placed at each intersection for security and safety purposes. Once we've got that established, we're going to move into the first chapter.
I only listened to a bit
about the
bits and pieces of the opening statement, so I don't know the
Mr. Brooks'
whole thing.
rage that day. A violent domestic argument with Erica Patterson, his former girlfriend and the mother of his child. Erica Patterson is going to testify either today or tomorrow, hopefully today. She's going to tell you that in November of 2021, she was staying at the Women's Center, which is a shelter here in Waukesha. And on the day in question, November 21st of 2021, the defendant showed up in Waukesha in his red Ford Escape that she knew he drove, and he argued with her, and he harassed her, and he punched her in the face. And the thing about a swollen eye is it's tough to fake. You're going to hear evidence about how after, let me back up. You're going to hear evidence about how the defendant took Erica Patterson all over town that afternoon. From Frame Park, across the river, up Barstow Hill, back down to Frame Park. And at some point, after she was struck, after she sustained that injury, Erica called her friends because she needed help. And she had no one else to call. One of those friends is Corey Runkle. You're going to hear from Corey on the witness stand in this trial. Corey's going to say that she was Erica's roommate at the Women's Center. She had known Erica for a few weeks and they had grown close. And when she got the call from Erica that Erica needed help, Corey immediately responded to help. And she ended up finding Erica and Daryl Brooks in front of the White Rock School. If we go back, the White Rock School is on White Rock Avenue. It's on the top right portion of the map. It's just south of Frame Park. And Corey is going to talk about how she found Erica and the defendant at this location, and she got into both a physical and a verbal altercation with Mr. Brooks. That altercation is captured on surveillance video. 2 surveillance videos, actually. You're going to see both of them.
Larry, this allegedly happened right before the parade rampage.
The red Ford Escape that he was driving. You're going to see how the defendant reacted once Erica's friends showed up and he lost his physical advantage over a woman. Erica and Corey will also testify that at some point during this scuffle, the police were called. And you're going to see a separate video, a squad video, from the responding officer that shows just down the block there was a marked squad car with its lights flashing, marking the entrance to the parade. Something that people in front of White Rock School would have seen. So the evidence is going to show that the defendant must have known, once things got loud and once there was more than just him and Erica on scene, the police were going to show up. So he took the coward's way out. You're going to see him in the video get into the driver's seat of that red SUV. Corey and Erica will tell you that no one else was in the car. And you're going to see him pull off on White Rock towards Main Street.
I don't think there was ever a basis given.
From law enforcement officers who were positioned along the parade route. The officers who made their initial contact with the defendant, the first ones who tried to stop him. And the first one is Detective Tom Casey, the lead detective in this case. He's sitting at the state's prosecution table right behind me. He's going to tell you that he was working that day as security for the parade. He was working at Main and White Rock. He's the first law enforcement officer to come into contact with the defendant during this incident, face to face, or I think better describe it as face to windshield. He tried to stop the defendant, but there's only so much a man can do against an SUV. But he's going to tell you that he got so close, he got such a good look at Daryl Brooks' face that from that witness stand, he'll be able to say to you definitively, Daryl Brooks, the man in orange on the video screen, is the man who was driving the red SUV in this case. You're going to hear from a few more officers. Officer Bryce Butcher and Officer Sonia Schneider. They were positioned at the intersection of Main Street and East Avenue, just a little bit further southwest in that map. You're going to hear them describe how they saw this red SUV approaching. They quickly realized it was not part of the parade. They quickly realized this was a problem. There are people, children, in the street, lining the street. And so they jumped into action. They tried to stop it. As the SUV started barreling towards them, Officer Butcher, again, tried to get in the way. He put himself at risk trying to get in front of the vehicle. Couldn't stop it. Officer Schneider tried to redirect the vehicle up Buckley Street, making a right-hand turn. She'll tell you, and you'll see in the video, there was room. There was space. She couldn't do it. The defendant blew past her. And that's when the screams in the police radio start. You're going to hear from Jim Hawkinson, a battalion chief for the Waukesha Fire Department. He's going to tell you about the massive scope of the emergency response to this tragedy. He was in charge of the fire department that day. He's going to tell you about all of the units that had to respond to the scene, the massive amount of resources needed to triage and treat and transport all the victims.
I saw an earlier...
I'll tell you about the response from other communities in southeast Wisconsin, the mutual aid call that went out, and all the other communities that came to help out. He's going to tell you about how Waukesha Memorial Hospital, just up the hill from the
I watched an earlier news piece that there were 12 other municipalities came in, or 12 other agencies came in to help.
Story, and you're going to hear from some of the people.
Yeah, when you have a mass casualty incident like that, they're going to call in resources from everywhere.
But I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to hear from all of them.
Probably call in, do an all call, and bring everybody in that department in as well.
We intend to present the evidence to you in an efficient and streamlined way. We will elicit testimony and introduce exhibits that cover every element of every single criminal charge in this case. But our goal is to avoid duplication of evidence and to avoid undue hardship on the victims and the witnesses who have already suffered so much. So the first witness in this part of the trial that you're going to hear from is Nicole White. She's the very first person, aside from Detective Casey, who was struck by the defendant on that day. She's going to tell you, as we look at this second of the three maps that we're going to repeatedly refer to, that she was marching with her co-workers and friends with Remax. You'll recognize the float, I think, in the videos, because just like the commercials for Remax, there's a giant hot air balloon that shoots fire out of the basket, which is pretty cool. And she's going to tell you she was marching with her friends and her co-workers when, without any warning, she was hit from behind and knocked over. You're going to see video of that.
Larry, he wasn't captured at the parade. He eventually ditched the vehicle and went to a random individual's house to like, I'll show that afterwards. There's like a Ring doorbell camera footage of him going to a house.
Deacon, you're funny. Everybody always says that I'm Juan Galt, and Juan Galt is me. Even though we've both been in the same room before at the same time.
Waukesha Christmas Parade. The event started off.
This is the full
time where it's committed by someone who recklessly endangers the safety of another human being under circumstances that show utter disregard for human life. Let's talk about what the state's not required to prove with recklessly endangering safety. Not required to prove injury. This was a conscious decision in our charging decision. We're not going to get into medical records. We're not going to talk about the details of witnesses' injuries because
they don't need to.
Except to the extent that it proves that they were endangered and resulted in injury. But we don't need to get into who was hit or how hard or how long they've suffered.
If they did, the trial would last God knows how long. They don't need to. They don't need to show that.
So
they can rely
we are going to
largely on the homicides.
Evidence about the first of the larger groups that was affected by this incident, the Waukesha South High School Marching Band. 10 kids in that band got either hit or run over. Here's the first example of our efficient presentation of evidence. You're not going to hear from any one of them. High school aged kids, there's video showing each and every one of them getting run over. So instead, you're going to hear from their band director, Sarah Waymire Aparicio. She's going to come in and she's going to look at some still shots of the video. She's going to identify each of the 10 kids for you. You're then going to watch and listen to the video, and it'll be clear as day who's getting run over or hit.
Yep.
It'll be clear as day whose safety was endangered by Mr. Brooks that day. As we move further down the parade route, you'll hear evidence about the Burris Logistics Group. You'll hear testimony from Kelly Grabo about how she was marching with that group along with her young daughter. You'll see video of them. They're dressed up like the Who's from Whoville. You'll see them get hit. As we move further down the parade route, you'll hear testimony about the Green family. They're spectators along the parade route. Charles Green is going to come in and talk about how he was there with his family. He was sitting on the southeast corner of Main and Gasper across the street from Martha Merrill's Books. He'll talk about how his kids were seated on a portable bench, something that you bring to a parade to sit on, and how they got knocked off that bench when the defendant ran into them. The next point in the presentation of evidence will involve the Waukesha Blazers. I think it's important to point out you can't consider this evidence of each crime in a vacuum. You need to consider the entire incident. Because at this point, by the time we get to the Blazers, the defendant will have already hit or run over 15 people. You'll see in the video that at this point the defendant has actually increased his speed, and you'll hear from Detective Mike.
What I'm saying, it would be an even longer trial had they
about speed analysis. They'll tell you that he's certified to
charged
use a
him
software program that basically takes
with
surveillance video,
charges that involve
measures
proving
the amount of
injury.
time it takes to travel a certain
Because you would
distance
have to
that
bring in
video,
medical information, several other witnesses.
They'll tell you
It
that
would
the
drag out the
medical
trial.
expert obtained
Medical
from
experts,
Boston
it would drag out the
Social
trial so
Right in
much
front of where the
longer.
Blazers got hit.
So I think they're
They'll tell
doing
you
this
that
to be the
that
most
video at
efficient
that area right before the
way
Blazers got hit,
possible.
the defendant was traveling in excess of 33 miles an hour. There were 5 victims in the Blazers. That includes Jackson Sparks, who was walking with his big brother Tucker. Cut down in the road before he had a chance to put any miles on his soul. Jackson was 8. He died 2 days later in the hospital. I think this is a good point to talk about the law of first-degree intentional homicide. Again, the judge provided the law to you. It'll be provided to you again at the conclusion of the trial. I want you to take a look at that second element. I don't know what the defense in this case is going to be. In fact, the defendant isn't required to put one on at all. He can sit there and not say a word throughout this trial, and that's perfectly within his right, and you can't hold that against him. And in fact, if he does that and we don't prove each and every one of these counts to you beyond a reasonable doubt, you must find him not guilty. That's the law. But if he does choose to present a defense, if he does raise any issues, I expect that he will likely claim that he didn't mean to kill these people. Take a look at that second bullet point. Keep that in mind as you're watching these videos, as you're learning about how this parade unfolded. Consider whether the defendant was aware that his conduct was practically certain to cause the death of another human being.
Depraved heart murder.
We're going to move further down the parade route, and the next group after the Blazers is the Extreme Dance Group. There were...
That's the common law equivalent, I think.
Girls of really all ages in this group, from toddlers being pulled in strollers up to high school age teenage dancers. 15 victims, 15 people associated with this group either got hit or were very close to getting hit. That doesn't include 2 additional spectators who were watching the parade from the south side of Main Street near the 5 Points intersection, right in front of the Extreme Dance team as the defendant drove through. Girls in this dance group suffered catastrophic injuries. The group of victims also includes parents, grandparents, siblings, people marching with the group, but not necessarily as dancers. You're not going to hear from everybody who got hit. You're going to hear from the 2 instructors, the 2 young ladies who were tasked with teaching these girls these routines and marching with them and encouraging them and comforting them after the fact. And they're gonna, in the video, identify for you where all these girls are positioned, and it'll be very clear the path of travel of the vehicle as it goes through that group of young ladies, who was hit and who was nearly hit. The next group down the parade route is Citizens Bank. And here we reach the second count of intentional homicide.
I think actually they're
Jane Kulik was marching with Citizens Bank with her friends, with her co-workers.
Exhibit 1 is the map of the parade route.
This is the only count of homicide for which there is no clear video depicting how she died. So instead of watching video, you're going to hear evidence from her co-worker.
He technically can object in an opening statement.
And they're really the ones who are in the best position to observe exactly what happened to Jane Kulik as the defendant plowed through that parade route. And they're going to describe for you how she was struck, how she was run over. A medical examiner will explain that Jane Kulik's cause of death was multiple blunt force traumatic injuries. We'll move further down southwest along the parade route, and we'll learn about a group that was standing in front of the steaming cup.
There it is.
Again, innocent people have nothing to do with anything. You're going to hear about 3 kids who were standing along with a bunch of others along the curb in front of steaming cup, and as the defendant swerved from the left side of the street as he hit Jane back to the right side of the street as he was avoiding the vehicle that was ahead of him, clipped the curb and hit these 3 kids. Then we're going to move in to the next group in the parade route, which is the Dancing Grannies.
Yeah, on top of running over a child, high school kids.
7 people in this group were struck.
He also ran over Dancing Grannies.
You're going to hear from witnesses, members of the Dancing Grannies group, who will come in and they will describe
Members of the elderly, so.
being completely caught off guard. They will describe seeing pom-poms in the air, and the next thing they knew, there were bodies on the ground before the pom-poms hit the ground. You will learn about Bill Ospel, who was marching in a support capacity. He was there to support his wife Lola and their friends, the rest of the Dancing Grannies. Just walking along.
Is there a protected class he didn't hit?
That's what I'm wondering. I don't think there was.
The Dancing Grannies vehicle, which is a white
I don't think there was
SUV.
either.
You see it in the video. Swerved around the right side.
No, Wisconsin was one of the first states to abolish the death penalty.
I'm going to tell you that Bill Hospital,
like back in the 1800s.
Cause of death was multiple blunt force traumatic injuries. You'll learn about Tamara Durand, marching with the Grannies. This is her first parade.
1853.
You'll see a diagram of where she was positioned. You'll see video of her getting struck. The medical examiner will tell you that Tamara Durand, cause of death, multiple blunt force traumatic injuries. You'll hear about Lee Owen, another Dancing Granny, positioned right next to Tamara.
Because we don't have anything from an interrogation or confession or anything alluding to it,
walking in a winter wonderland.
we might know the answer in the trial, but it seems to me people can only surmise that this guy got so fucking heated regarding his argument that with his ex after beating her up that he took out his fucking anger on anybody that was around him.
Normally a coach for the group. Normally
in this case, it was the parade goers
in the back so that she could provide feedback and critique to her dance mates. But she filled in at the last moment today and helped carry the banner. You'll see video of Ginny getting struck. Medical examiner will tell you that Jenny Sorensen's cause of death was multiple blunt force traumatic injuries. You'll hear more speed analysis testimony at this point. You're going to hear from Mike Smith with the Wisconsin State Patrol, who's going to testify very similarly to how Detective Carpenter is going to testify about speed analysis. Basically, he takes surveillance video, this time from Curry Insurance, which is on the south side of Main Street. It shows the Grannies getting struck. They measure point to point and measure the time between those 2 points and calculate an average speed over that distance, which is roughly from Clinton Street up until the camera cuts out. They'll tell you that at that point, where the defendant crashed through the Dancing Grannies group, he was traveling at approximately 32 miles an hour.
So I think what they say,
group
what he's trying to say there is that
the defendant in this case is the
he sped up as he was running people over, and I think they're going to do that to show evidence of intent.
Catholic churches who got together that
absolutely.
Sunday afternoon to spread a little Christmas cheer. There is not great video, and perhaps that's for the best, of this group getting struck. In total, there were 19 victims in this group. In what little you can see from the video, you can see the defendant's taillights swerving from the left side of the street to the right. You can see them bouncing up and down. There are no speed bumps in that section of the road.
Jesus Christ.
The next phase of the evidence will involve the manhunt. How authorities found the defendant, took him into custody, and the statements he made after he was placed under arrest. You will hear from Officer Bryce Skolton, who was positioned, if you look at this third of the 3 maps I referenced, on the very top of this map at the intersection of Main Street and Wisconsin. Officer Skolton was positioned at that point to direct the parade route to make a left-hand turn from Main Street onto Wisconsin, to stop any traffic coming from the other directions. He saw the defendant come around that corner. He saw the defendant drive right at him as he's standing in the middle of the road. And as the defendant went around him to the left and went south, Officer Skolton fired 3 rounds from his service weapon. All 3 rounds hit the car. None of them hit the defendant. You will hear from another police officer who was not on duty that day. He just happens to be a police officer. His name is Officer Ralph Salyers. He's from the Waukesha Police Department. If you take a look at that map, he's going to describe to you being on the sidewalk, leaving the parade. He was walking past Les Paul Middle School. He's going to describe hearing a loud commotion. He's going to describe seeing a red SUV with just utterly total front end damage coming to rest in a driveway at 338 Maple Avenue. You're going to see video of the defendant in the red SUV pulling into the alley behind 338 Maple, and then a few moments later you'll see what appears to be the defendant coming back onto the screen and running away from the vehicle, apparently in a hurry, apparently aware that he had done something terribly wrong. You're going to hear from a series of witnesses between that point and the defendant's arrest, where they will describe the defendant approaching them, contacting them, asking them to use their phone. Because he was in such a rush when he ditched his SUV, he left his phones behind. Then you're going to hear from Daniel Ryder, and I think the evidence will show Daniel Ryder really is a good embodiment of the spirit of Waukesha. Not knowing what Mr. Brooks had done, Daniel Ryder opened his home to the defendant.
This is
The defendant
this is from the Ring camera footage.
With a t-shirt, said he was cold, said he needed to use the phone. Daniel Ryder let him inside, gave him a sandwich, let him use the phone, and then gave him a coat. And a few minutes later, the police showed up. You're going to see body cam video of that arrest. You're going to hear from Officer Rebecca Carpenter that she responded to that area around where Daniel Ryder lives because of reports of a man knocking on doors. She takes him into custody. He identifies himself on the body cam video. They search him, and in his pocket they find a red a key to the red Ford Escape used in this attack.
Ah. And I bet that's on the body cam footage.
You're going to hear from a series of officers who retraced the defendant's steps that night, recovered surveillance video showing the path that he took, the path that's depicted here in the third map that I'm showing you. You're going to hear how they recovered his sandal, his sweatshirt along the escape route. You're going to hear from Detective Jay Carpenter with the City of Waukesha Police Department, and he's going to talk to you about the defendant's statements after he was taken into custody. I'm going to let that interview speak for itself, other than pointing out for you that you will, I think, quickly learn a few main points about the defendant on the night that this happened. He was lucid. He was aware. He was intelligent. He was probing for information. And he was deceptive. We're going to then wrap up with testimony from people who plugged any of the remaining holes in the investigation. You'll hear from crime lab analysts about DNA evidence, about finding the defendant's DNA on the steering wheel of the red Ford Escape. You're going to hear from Wisconsin State Patrol Inspector Ryan Schultz. He's going to testify about the mechanical inspection that he did on this vehicle. In case you were wondering if there were any issues that would have prevented Mr. Brooks from stopping or from pulling over, he's going to quickly put those concerns to bed. He conducted that mechanical inspection. No problem with the brakes.
Crossing the T's, dotting the I's.
There were no mechanical problems that would have prevented
Yep.
Mr. Brooks from stopping. Finally, we're going to close our presentation of the evidence, not with a witness, but with an experience for you. You are going to go to a secure location, and you're going to have a chance to see the murder weapon with your own eyes.
Oh.
You'll be able to see that red Ford Escape. I want to close now with a few points about how the evidence relates to the law in this case. There are, obviously, we've gone through the 6 counts of first-degree intentional homicide. But in addition to those homicide counts, there are 6 counts of hit and run involving death. Those are separate charges. The evidence will support convictions on all of them, all 12 counts of homicide. But they involve the same 6 victims. Another point I want to bring to your attention is that for each count of first-degree intentional homicide and each count of first-degree recklessly endangering safety, if you find the defendant guilty of any of those counts, you have to answer a second question. Did he commit that crime while using a dangerous weapon? And here the evidence will show that he didn't use a gun or a knife to commit these crimes. He used 3,500 pounds of steel, rubber, and glass. The defendant's also charged with 2 counts of felony bail jumping. You'll hear evidence to support those charges, which
Because why the fuck not?
Was charged with
Oh,
a felony
yeah.
offense
Why
in
not?
a case in Milwaukee County and released from custody subject to conditions of bail. And then he was charged with another felony offense in a separate case in Milwaukee County and released from custody subject to conditions of bail. And those conditions of bail included requirements that he not commit any new crime. And those conditions of bail were in effect on November 21st of 2021. We have dozens of video clips to show you. You're going to have notebooks and writing utensils while we present this evidence to you. It's a lot to keep track of. And when you go back into the deliberation room, it might be difficult while you're deliberating to remember which video was about which victim or which incident or which group. And so my suggestion to you is that as we go through these videos, you're free to do whatever you want with your notes, but my suggestion would be as we go through these videos, they each will be labeled with an exhibit number. And so I recommend that you keep track of which exhibit number corresponds with which video. That way, while you're deliberating, if you want to see those videos again, you can ask for them by exhibit number. Can't guarantee that you'll be able to see any or all of them, but you can ask. I'm done now. I want to close.
If it's a
on
relevant
one
witness
final
to struck
point,
or
and
not,
that is
he can
on behalf of the state
subpoena
of
them to
Wisconsin,
testify.
I want to say thank you. We work, you're serving in what is the greatest criminal justice system in the history of the world. and that's because of the 16 of you. It's because a group of citizens, randomly selected, come in and make the final, ultimate determination between guilty and not guilty. That's unique in this world. It's special. And so, we're going to go through this evidence. We're going to be mindful of your time. We know how valuable it is. We're going to be efficient, but we have a lot to get through. A lot. And at the conclusion of all that evidence, District Attorney Opper is going to stand up here and she's going to ask you to render verdicts consistent with the evidence.
So.
And you saw Erica?
Yeah.
All right, let's resume playing at 2 minutes and 44 seconds.
Oh, I think I saw this part where he starts laughing. Oh, that's right. I think I just started the stream when I saw this part of the testimony where he starts actually laughing while she's giving testimony.
Let's pause there. Pause to 3 minutes and 19 seconds. Who's the person in the gray hooded sweatshirt?
That's Daryl.
The objection's overruled. Her answer may stand.
That's Daryl.
How far away would you say your face was from Daryl's face at this point in the video?
I was chesting up.
Chesting up?
Yeah.
So I guess that's pretty self-explanatory. Do you see Daryl Brooks either in the courtroom or on any monitors in the courtroom right now?
I'll check out the police's testimony here afterwards.
Point, I would ask that the court order the defendant to remove his mask.
Mr. Brooks, you're ordered to remove your mask.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Mr. Brooks, we talked about this at a prior hearing. For purposes of identification, you're ordered to unmask. Thank you, sir.
So now I'll re-ask that question. Ms. Runkle, do you see Daryl, the person you're talking about in the video, either in the courtroom or on a monitor in the courtroom?
Yes.
Can you tell us where?
In orange.
On the monitor in front of you?
Yeah.
I'd ask the record to reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
The record will so reflect. Thank you, Mr. Brooks. You can remask.
Let's hit play and resume at 3 minutes and 19 seconds. All right, we've reached the end. Ms. Runkle, can you tell us what was happening in that last portion of the video we just watched?
Well, before Erica, me, and Nick showed up in the camera, that's when I ran after Erica from getting ran over, and then she tried to jump in the car with him, and then I ended up chesting up to him, and then we ended up going at it. So yeah.
How would you describe the level of your volume during that interaction?
Like, what do you mean?
Were you yelling?
I'd say yeah.
Was Mr. Brooks yelling?
Yeah.
Was anybody else in that video, either Nick or Erica, were they yelling?
Erica was telling me to stop.
Okay. And what happened after the physical confrontation with Mr. Brooks?
Nick pulled me away.
And then what happened?
And then Brooks walked off.
Did you see where he went?
Into his car.
The red SUV in the video we just watched? Was there anybody else in the SUV at that point that you saw?
No.
And what happened next?
After that, it was like he headed out.
Okay. Did Mr. Brooks say anything to you or Erica or Nick as he was leaving?
He told Erica he was... Oh.
The basis for your objection, you said objection, right?
Is hearsay and irrelevant.
Is it being offered for the truth of the matter asserted?
Well, it's a statement by a party opponent, so it's not hearsay.
Oh, it's a statement, sorry. Miss, I think
Statement by party opponent.
She said, all right. The objection is overruled. If it's, she may testify as to words that you spoke on this occasion. Go ahead.
He told Erica that he was gonna find her and he's gonna kill her.
Can we pull up?
Yeah. Oh, fuck. I don't understand what getting himself into. They haven't actually I guess siphoned it out, but I think we can go to the here we go.
To help with events like parades. They're given training in directing traffic and closing streets down. A community service officer is a paid position. They're part-time employees, usually younger individuals looking to learn more about a career in law enforcement.
And you said also parking attendants would be assisting in this endeavor?
Correct. We're usually looking to get as many extra bodies as we can, and the assistance from our parking agents is usually required for this event as well.
And this would be in addition to the sworn law enforcement officers that are assigned to work the parade?
Correct.
And obviously you still need other officers to patrol the city, correct?
Yes.
Where is the parade held?
The parade takes up a large portion of our downtown area. There's a staging area that the floats before the parade that they're all instructed to assemble in a particular area along White Rock Avenue between Niagara Street and Main Street. And that's about a 3-hour process of getting all the parade participants into that area and lined up accordingly. The parade itself runs along Main Street from White Rock westbound to the Veterans Park area where it makes a turn and then heads up Wisconsin Avenue and ends near the Waukesha Public Library.
Sir, if I could ask you to stand up and refer to the diagram behind you. This is a map that's been marked as State's Exhibit number 1. Do you see that sticker in the bottom right-hand corner?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, it's a little tight up there. Sorry. But if you could start in the upper right-hand corner of the map, and Your Honor, if we put up the digital copy of the map as well, I know it's hard to see, but then we'd have to do the screen share again. Is that correct?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the paralegal to please put up State's Exhibit number 1 on the digital copy as well.
Is that ready? No.
Sorry, we got the wrong one.
I've seen a decent chunk of the opening testimony from the officer. I know nothing of the cross, though my understanding is that he went full sovereign citizen in his cross-examination.
That's not a shocker.
All right, Madam Clerk, thank you. We're ready here.
As you present that, you know you can hit that little arrow that will get rid of those extra things that aren't needed. There you go. Go ahead.
All right, and, Ms. Gussie, if you could zoom in on the upper right-hand corner, please. There you go. All right, sir, if you can use the map, the big map in front of you, please, and the jury can follow along with the digital copy if they want. So starting in the upper right-hand corner. Yes. What's up there, please?
That is Frame Park.
And what's at Frame Park?
Frame Park has a lot of, it's got a playground for children, there's a very large baseball diamond, different shelters, there's a formal garden, there's a
I think actually this is the part where I missed the rest of his testimony, initial testimony.
activities.
Is the boat launch shown on Exhibit 1?
Yes, right here.
Okay. And the waterway that's shown on the exhibit, what is that waterway?
That is the Fox River.
Now, is the parade route shown on Exhibit 1?
Sorry, Attorney Upper, can you give me 1 second? Mr. Brooks, just a reminder, you're not muted.
Oh,
All right, I'm sorry for the interruption. Go ahead.
I'm sorry too. I thought I was muted. I apologize.
That's okay. Thank you so much.
Go ahead and point out the parade route, please.
So the parade route in this map is essentially this purple line. This area here is what I referred to earlier as a staging area. And then actually at this corner right here, westbound is where the parade route would follow down to the corner here. I refer to this as Veterans Park. That's that area there. And then it would turn up Wisconsin Avenue and end around the library right here, which is that green area.
I'll be right back.
Okay,
The
we're just putting that
Archer
up on
is
digital display too right now.
being needy right now. Hold on.
On this map, sir, we've designated several points along the parade route to reflect where various officers were positioned. Is that correct?
Yes.
And could you just briefly walk us through it? I don't need you to name every officer, but just point out the intersections and what was located at each intersection using Exhibit 1.
Sure. I was here at the intersection of Hartwell and White Rock. I had a police SUV, an unmarked police vehicle, trying to maintain the integrity of the route and keeping the road shut down. Here we had various officers. It's kind of a mixed use of barricades, marked police vehicles, police tape, just in an order to keep the streets shut down and make sure that there's a visible representation that the streets are not open.
Please keep going down, westbound down Main Street, please.
Sure. So we come to Buckley and East Avenue here. Both sides of the intersection shut down with barricades. We come down further on West Main Street to Martin Street. The red line here signifies a barricade was in place there. At Main Street and North Barstow Street, again, barricades on both sides of the intersection there. Gaspar and East Main Street, a barricade. We also had a marked police fleet, as we did at other places where the yellow is signifying that. This is our 5 points area, as we call it, kind of a larger intersection with roads in different directions here. So at this intersection, we had a use of barricades, police tape, police vehicles. It's just a very large intersection to be able to shut down just with one of those things. So it kind of becomes a mixed use of different tools that are available to us. We have Clinton Street and Main Street here. Again, barricades on both sides of the intersections, along with officers. Maple Avenue and East Main Street, barricades and reserve officers. And then we come around toward the Veterans Park area, again, another very large intersection where we had an officer and multiple barricades shutting off the traffic. And then along Wisconsin Avenue here, we had one point at Maple Avenue where we had a CSO along with a barricade.
And right now you're pointing at the very bottom edge of the map, correct?
The very bottom here.
Okay.
And then from that point east, the parade kind of disassembles with floats going different ways depending upon their size and maneuverability at the end of the parade route.
this map, exhibit number 1, is oriented north, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The items, and I know this is like a vision test for everybody, but on the map, the yellow boxes represent what, please?
The yellow boxes on this map represent police vehicles that were utilized in the parade.
Okay, and what about the blue boxes?
The blue boxes are the names of personnel assigned. Where you see an RO, that would be a reserve officer, PA would be a parking agent, CSO would be our community service officer, OFC would be an officer.
All right. The reserve officers and non-sworn officers, would they be wearing a police uniform or some type of designation?
Yes, they all have.
Hold on. There's an objection. It's overruled. He may answer.
All personnel on the parade route are in uniforms.
I don't know why he would say that that's an irrelevant
policy that they are required to wear.
That is an
traffic vests.
That makes no sense.
Which would have been yellow and could have been blue and yellow or orange and yellow traffic vest that says police on it.
Okay.
Because the whole point is to establish that this was a
where the units were staged,
planned,
correct?
visible,
Now, can you,
cordoned off
where the road
street
was actually
with police
shut off by police,
all over,
so that
indicating
no
that this is a
motorists can
closed off
actually
street.
travel down the road?
Sure, I mean, this,
In other words, to let any outside motorist know that you're not supposed to be going down here 30 miles an hour.
First point of shutdown, it was at White Rock Avenue and Niagara Street. We used Niagara Street to divert any traffic that would have come that direction. So then along here, there would have been shut down at Niagara. There was another street called Perkins where it was shut down. And then right here is Baxter Street, where we had the street shut down. Additionally, here along the staging route, North Hartwell Avenue here was shut down on both sides of it to ensure no traffic entered into the staging area while that space was occupied.
All right, and before I have you sit down, there's two other areas designated on the map I'd like to ask you about. This is on the left, upper left quadrant of the map. On the north side of the Fox River, there's something indicated as the Barstow Hill. Do you see that on the map, sir?
Yes, right here by the green line.
What's the Barstow Hill?
The Barstow Hill is just a very
what do you mean? What do you mean, Taco?
That more or less connects our downtown to a neighborhood and is a thoroughfare of traffic coming and going from the downtown area.
Okay, that's Barstow Road there?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. And then just to the right of that, there's something marked as a mobile gas station, is that correct?
Yes.
Objection.
Overruled.
And there is a gas station at that intersection, sir?
Yes, there is a mobile gas station.
Well, Jake, I think if I were to, I'm not sure where. If you're saying that there were other streets, there's two streets: White Rock Avenue and Main Street. And from what he testified, that the yellow boxes indicate vehicles, which I assume he may have already testified to this. I assume that they're indicating that these vehicles were used as the blocking cross sections of the streets. So Buckley and Northeast Avenue, there was a marked vehicle to block off the cross section, cross off the block section here, cross off the cross section here, and so on and so forth.
Station at the bottom of the Barstow Hill.
Okay. All right, please have a seat, sir.
I mean, if you want to, I mean, that'd be pretty awesome for us to be able to see.
Sending officers out to their locations along the route here.
At 1 p.m. is when the initial few officers head out to secure the staging area.
I don't think it's necessarily needed at this point.
They're out there from 1 o'clock until about 3:30. Between 3 and 3:30 is when the rest of the personnel assigned to the parade would have arrived at their locations along the route.
All right. And I assume you're in some, Your Honor, we just lost part of the polycom. You can take that down for at the moment.
As soon as we knew it was down, we stopped. We didn't take any additional testimony. I just want to confirm you can see and hear me.
Yeah, I can hear.
And you can see the 4 cameras, so the witness as well.
I think the
All right, thank you.
I think the red markings on the map, Deacon, are to indicate barricades.
Yes, that's what it is, Artie.
Somebody that's running the parade as far as lining up the participants and
Hey,
making
thank you,
sure
some old dude, for the
everybody
5
that's,
gifted memberships.
walking in the parade is where they're supposed to be, correct?
Correct.
Is there a title for that person?
Boy, I wouldn't know.
Your objection's noted, it's overruled. He may testify about the question asked.
Or is there somebody that you were dealing with directly that was kind of responsible for the units of the parade and you're responsible for the security of the parade?
Yes, there was a.
Overruled, he may ask.
That's not leading.
Lady from the Chamber of Commerce who put on the parade. That just prior to the parade starting, I had a face-to-face contact with to inform her that the route was ready for the parade.
Now, how do you know that? How do you know that the route was ready to go?
Between 3:30 and 4 o'clock, I had driven the route several times within the parade route on the street that was shut down. It was my duty as the incident commander of the parade to make sure that the officers or personnel assigned to the parade were all in their location, that all the
Artie, I'll
barricades
be
were
right
in
back.
place.
Yep.
That there was no holes in the parade route that we missed in the planning, and as a final security sweep of the route just to ensure everything was in place as we had planned for it to be.
Can you estimate how many spectators were present?
At what time?
I'm sorry.
I don't know why the alerts are doubling up. I don't get it. I gotta fix that.
Thousands. Once the parade had started, I was not on the route anymore. I think the last time I drove the route itself would have been just before 4 o'clock is my final lap through.
And there's spectators on both sides of the road, north and south sides of Main Street?
Correct.
And all the way from Hartwell all the way down to Veterans Park at the end there near Wisconsin Avenue?
Yes, I'd say the majority of this.
Hold on, there's been an objection. Go ahead, what's your objection?
That is hearsay. We can't know sure where everybody was at.
The objection is noted. It is overruled based upon the foundation previously laid by the witness. Go ahead.
He would know if he was part of the planning. He would know where the officers would be.
The spectators are primarily.
Or the spectators would also be.
Intersection of White Rock and Main Street westbound.
So you were satisfied it was...
Also, it's not hearsay. He's not testifying to what somebody else said. She's asking where were people at and who was stationed at where.
appropriately safe to start the parade. Is that right, sir?
Yes.
What did you do?
I had face-to-face contact with the organizer of the parade. I indicated to her that I checked the route and from the police side of things that we were ready for the parade to proceed, and let her know that she could begin whenever she was ready.
About what time of day was that?
It was right about 4 p.m.
And you had mentioned the units were staging on White Rock near where you were posted, is that right?
Yes.
And did you see, as the units would enter the parade route, then they all kind of move forward, I'm assuming?
Yes,
Overruled.
Overruled. That's not hearsay.
The parade participants are set up on either side of White Rock Avenue, and they're kind of funneled together into almost a zipper type fashion as they enter the parade route.
And as they march forward towards the parade route, then at some point is the road behind them vacant?
Correct.
And what do you do when that happens?
We try to cause as little disruption in the city. Shutting down White Rock Avenue, it's a very major thoroughfare in the city, and having it shut down for that extended period of time causes some pretty significant traffic problems. So as the road is no longer occupied by parade participants, we try to open up the road from behind them, keeping the back of the parade shut down, always taking into account a street for a car to turn off onto, so.
Did you remain in that same position near White Rock and Hartwell?
Yes.
And do you remember how you had your squad positioned?
Objection, that's hearsay.
Overruled.
That's
I
not
had my squad
fucking
positioned
hearsay.
across White Rock Avenue in an east-west fashion, essentially in the middle of the roadway. The road is much wider than the SUV squad I was driving is. I positioned it that way to give a visual representation to motorists that the road wasn't open.
And is your squad marked or unmarked?
It is unmarked.
Objection, irrelevant.
It is relevant.
Relevant. The answer may stand.
Very relevant.
I'm sure if you hear an objection, sir, that you wait till I rule on it too.
Are there red
Thank you,
blue
Miss
lights on your squad car, sir?
Nutty Nut. Thank you for becoming a member.
Overruled. The answer may stand.
Did you have your red and blue lights activated as it was parked across the roadway?
Objection, irrelevant.
Oh my God.
Overruled.
Yes.
You remember hearing something about a disturbance near the boat launch?
Yes.
Objection, hearsay.
Oh shit, Jesus, he's going to object to everything now.
Your Honor.
All right, it's not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. The objection is overruled. He may answer. I believe he answered yes, and it may stand.
All right. What do you remember hearing about an incident at the boat launch?
When I was near my position on Hartwell and White Rock, I was speaking with one of our reserve officers. We were discussing the proper timing of the opening of the road. And I overheard actually on his police radio that he was wearing squads that were not assigned to the parade being sent to a fight at Frame Park that involved knives.
Were you aware of any vehicles being associated with that fight?
Objection, irrelevant.
Overruled. He may answer.
I did not hear of any vehicles associated.
What do you remember next, sir?
I remember seeing and hearing squads responding to this this fight at Frame Park, and at that time we were still focused on opening up the roadway, and I made my way back toward my unmarked police vehicle, and I looked to my right or to the north down White Rock Avenue, and I saw a red SUV traveling toward me at a high rate of speed.
What do you mean by a high rate of speed, sir?
Objection, that's hearsay.
Overruled. He may answer.
I believe the vehicle was traveling in
That's
excess
not
of 40
fucking
miles per hour.
Oh my God.
What's the posted
I gotta
speed
stop.
limit there on White Rock Avenue?
It's a 25 mile per hour zone.
What about Main Street in downtown Waukesha? What's the posted speed limit there, sir?
The speed limit
Irrelevant.
That is very relevant.
the speed limit throughout the parade route is 25 miles per hour.
What did you do when you saw this red SUV traveling at a high rate of speed?
Objection, leading the witness.
The objection is noted. It's overruled.
Oh my God.
When I saw the red SUV traveling toward me at a high rate of speed, I used both hands and waved them overhead like this in an attempt to catch the attention of the driver.
Were you dressed in a police uniform, sir?
Yes.
Let me just put on the record when the witness, so that's clear, placed both hands over his head in what I would describe as a waving kind of back and forth at a diagonal.
Gotta put that on the record.
Gesture. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yep.
You always have to pretend that everybody's blind. That's the golden rule. You have to pretend that everybody involved in this trial is blind. So you have to. So if you're doing a non-verbal gesture, you got to articulate it.
The car continue in your direction, or the SUV?
Yes, it did.
What did you observe the path of travel for the SUV to be?
Objection, that's hearsay.
Mr. Brooks, it's not hearsay. Your objection is overruled. You may answer.
Could you state the question one more time?
Sure. Where did you see the SUV go? Better question.
Objection, irrelevant.
Overruled.
The SUV entered the parade route.
That is a very fucking relevant question.
Past your location, please.
As I was waving my hands overhead, I was approximately 6 feet from where the SUV was driving. As the driver passed essentially in front of me by about 6 feet, I could see the operator of the vehicle and just a dazed, straight, focused look straight ahead, not looking at anyone.
Did the driver appear to respond to your efforts to stop the vehicle?
There was absolutely no response.
Did you notice the car slow down in any fashion?
No, in fact,
Hearsay.
It's not hearsay, it's overruled. He may answer.
as the SUV passed me, I looked over the hood or the top of the police vehicle that I had positioned on the road there, fully expecting that as it passed that I would see the car slam on its brakes as it realized it had entered the parade route, figuring it was a lost motorist. I didn't see that happen. It continued into the parade route at a high rate of speed.
What did you do?
Upon seeing that, I got on my radio in an attempt to notify other personnel assigned to the parade route. I stated that a red SUV had just blown by me.
Do you remember using those exact words, sir?
Objection, that's irrelevant.
Overruled. He may answer.
I don't know if I said a red or maroon SUV, but I remember saying that it had blown by me.
Were there parade units still on White Rock attempting to get onto the parade route at that point?
Yes.
Objection.
Were you able to see the vehicle clearly as it went? I'm sorry.
He objected. It's overruled. Go ahead.
From where you were standing there, were you able to turn and watch the SUV as it traveled past you down White Rock towards Main Street?
Objection.
Overruled.
Just asked that.
I only watched it for a short period of time before returning to my squad car, knowing that some sort of police action was going to need to be taken.
What did you do once you got to your squad?
I got in my squad car. It was bombarded with the most terrible
Pause it right there for a minute, Artie.
Yeah.
So, what people are seeing here, and I've actually been through this personally, so I can speak to this. What is happening with the sergeant right now is he is reliving what he was seeing, what he was hearing, and what he was feeling at the moment. And then he'll explain what he heard here in just a minute, I'm sure. But you can see the post-traumatic stress disorder coming over the sergeant as he is reliving this through his mind.
I mean, you could see it in his face. That you can see it in his face and in his eyes that he's watching everything unfold in front of him on the witness stand.
Yeah, he is reliving that moment in his mind right now.
Yeah.
You can tell by his facial expression, his body language, his breathing patterns, that he is actually reliving this incident. And as I'm sitting here talking about it, I've got like chill bumps coming up on my arms and my legs. I can so empathize with what this sergeant's going through right now.
Yeah.
It's the most terrible thing I ever heard.
The sounds. Yes. you didn't see anything at that point as far as people getting hit?
No.
Okay. I want to show you a video clip, sir. This is State's Exhibit number 2. Madam Clerk, if you could please turn on the State's table. Yep, I'll tell you. Okay?
Just show it to the witness.
I'll show it to you first. So, Sergeant Warner, if you look at the screen in front of you, we're gonna play a video clip. It's pretty short in duration. I want you to watch it first before we show it to the jury. I'm gonna ask you some questions, okay?
Okay.
Did you see that clip, sir?
Yes,
Is that a video clip you've seen before?
I have seen that, yes.
Okay. Do you believe that's a true and accurate representation of the SUV traveling on White Rock Avenue near the start of the parade at Main Street?
Yes.
Move for admission and permission to publish, Your Honor.
Any objection, Mr. Brooks?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
The state just moved admission of Exhibit 2.
No, I object to that. Keep it.
What?
All right, the objection's noted, it's overruled. Exhibit 2, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Thank you. Please hit play. Sergeant Warner, is that consistent with the vehicle you saw traveling away from you past the parade floats that were about to enter the route?
Yes.
And is that consistent with the approximate speed you saw it traveling?
Yes.
After you became aware that something terrible was happening on the parade route, your incident commander, what do you do?
I drove in my police vehicle down toward the area that I just heard repeated over and over on the radio where the casualties had taken place, and that would have been at Main and Gaspar. And once I got to that position, I parked my vehicle as it was impossible to drive any further.
Was there a call made for assistance?
Yes, I don't know who said it, but an officer used a code over the police radio basically requesting police assistance from any officer in the county that would be listening.
Did multiple officers respond
Yes.
from within Waukesha County?
From in,
Objection irrelevant.
Overruled.
Waukesha County and far beyond.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions at this time.
Mr. Brooks, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, I do.
Oh boy.
Good afternoon, officer. First off,
Good afternoon.
I say this is very emotional, so I'm gonna try my best not to keep you up there any longer than you would like to be. My first question is, I noticed that you are in uniform today. Is it fair to say that if you weren't here testifying that you would have been on duty today? Is it fair to ask that or say that?
Not have been at work today.
I don't know why the video cut like that.
Testimony that you would be given at trial today warranted you to be in uniform?
Objection, relevance, Your Honor.
Irrelevant.
Sustained. You do not need to answer that, sir. Next question, Mr. Brooks.
You said you've been in duty for 18 years, correct?
Yes.
in any of those 18 years, have you ever come across or had any interaction with the plaintiff in this matter?
Oh, God damn it.
Vague.
Sustained. You do not need to answer that, sir. Next question, Mr. Brooks.
How long have you known the plaintiff?
Vague and irrelevant.
Sustained. You do not need to answer that, sir. Next question, Mr. Brooks.
Do you see the plaintiff in court today?
Fucking hell.
Vague and irrelevant.
Sustained. Next question.
Do you have any knowledge of the plaintiff?
Oh.
Objection.
Sustained.
He's doing the whole, what is the plaintiff, aka what is the state of Wisconsin?
Sustained.
Classic sovereign citizen Mark Stevens bullshit.
I want to go to the clip that was just shown.
Would you like it shown to the witness again and published to the jury?
I'm sure would he prefer for it to be so again?
I just wanted to know if that's what you were asking. You can certainly question him about it, and if need be, it can be shown again.
Okay, can you show the witness the video clip again?
Sure. All right, I can tell from my monitor and the witness monitor it is up, but it is not being projected to the courtroom other than that. And you can go ahead and play it. All right, your question, sir.
In that clip, is it fair to say that you can see that there are people walking in the street and on the sidewalk? Would that be fair to say?
Yes, I could see that in the video clip.
Do you see anybody being targeted or being in a panic to get away from the vehicle?
No.
Do you see the said driver of that vehicle intentionally trying to hit anyone in that video?
No.
So again, I would ask, were you brought here today to testify on behalf of the plaintiff?
Objection, asked and answered.
Sustained. He already answered that he was why he's here.
Again, I would ask just one more time for the record. Do you see the plaintiff in court today?
Objection.
Sustained. Do you have any other questions, Mr. Brooks?
Do you know of the plaintiff at all whatsoever?
Objection.
Sustained.
We've already been through this.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. Any redirect?
No.
All right, thank you, Sergeant. You may step down. Is he released from his subpoena?
Yes, please.
All right, thank you. He's released. We're going to call the next witness. Do you have a...
I would have a oral tennis motion I would like to be put on the record.
If you have a motion, you'll have to wait until after the next witness is called. Write it down, submit it on paper, and I'll review whether it's appropriate for this court to address. All right, the state may call the next witness.
All right, we already saw the vast majority of the other witnesses' testimony, so and I think I just wanted to watch that part. So I guess we're gonna continue on tomorrow morning. I won't be able to live stream it because I'll be at my other job. But I'll probably at least be listening in on the side. So yeah, this guy is a complete asshole. So, well, people, I mean, I understand where people are coming from in terms of, you know, why let this go on? Why give this guy? Why are they holding his hand? And I understand it, but I also understand the potential ramifications of a potential mistrial or the possibility that he can get this overturned on appeal. So I think I remain steadfast in saying that they are the reason why they're giving him so much leeway is because A, they know the evidence is overwhelming to convict, and B, they want to ensure that there's no possible chance of a mistrial or that it'll be overturned on a technicality. So that's why I think they want to, you know, hold his hand throughout the process until they get that final guilty verdict.
I couldn't agree with you more, Artie. It seems like they're taking every precaution to keep that from happening.
Right. No, shut up, Archer. I said what I said. All right. Anyway, so yeah, thing is, I guess this was supposed to be my October spooky streams, so I was supposed to be playing like scary games, but I also wasn't expecting this particular defendant to go full sovereign citizen at the 11th hour before trial, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to balance out the upcoming streams. I still want to obviously stream games naturally, but I'll have to figure out the balancing for that. But thank you, Blue Bear, for dropping in, man, and giving us your
problem,
take,
brother.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's no problem. Anytime.
Yeah, definitely. I haven't beaten Little Nightmares. Maybe I'll try and bring that up. Omega. Fucking Alien Isolation VR. I honestly, I'd rather try the Walking Dead VR game that somebody gifted me ages ago. So probably play that. But thanks, guys, again. Hope you guys stay safe. And yeah, have a good one. I'm gonna go bully my cat a little bit more. Oh yes, and Tones, we'll definitely be doing another Phasmophobia night. Absolutely, that's gonna happen. All right, bye guys.
See ya.